If I'm I'll pour my own.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I'll just pass it around. 98 bottles of bourbon on the wall.
I knew you were going to do that.
Huh?
I knew you were going to do that. Only because it went through my head, too.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to what was supposed to be the 50th episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast, but is now the 51st. I'm Perry. I'm your host, and this is take 2. It is recording.
And we can confirm. Everyone's
Yes,
looking over at the recorder, like, but the red light's still on, right?
I'm going to move this in
We will
Chad's
check every 10
direction so
minutes.
that he can see.
And we will be checking periodically.
Yes, we will. Because
Periodically.
Periodically.
So, Chad and Sara of It's Bourbon Night are here.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. And then Curtis, the co-host.
Hey?
Welcome, guys, to round 2 because we're all much lower energy than we were last time, but that's
No,
okay.
I am full energy.
Yeah, I'm feeling great.
Good.
Yeah.
I can like weed out the dumb stuff that I said last time and then just go with like my best points.
Good answer.
And I can still say the dumb stuff and still roll with it.
All killer, no filler.
I mean, there's going to be some dumb stuff at some point, right?
that's
But
inevitable.
yeah, it's all good. Anyway, so as I said, this is officially our 50th episode celebration and 1 year anniversary celebration episode. So we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about bourbon milestones and, things that have been important to us. That's yours. I'm sorry. I don't know why I was doing that. There's a little twist tie on one of the cords. I apologize. I don't know why I'm so ADD today. Anyway, we're also going to be talking about important, bottles or drinks that we remember in our bourbon journey so that, we can talk a little bit more about why we are the drinkers that we are today. But before that, we have to do our newest segment, Flying Blind, where we try something we've either never had before or something that we have had in the past and wanted to revisit. So in this case, this is something you guys have never had before.
That's right.
Yes. And I mentioned this on a recent episode, but I wanted to do a 50-50 blend of Elijah Craig, Small Batch, and Larceny, and basically just make a Heaven Hill 4-grain. And so it's about, 93 proof.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was just kind of an experiment that I wanted to try out. And
Smells nutty.
it does. Ding.
Yeah.
By the way, great Halloween episode.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much enjoyed it.
Thanks.
Yes.
Appreciate
Yes.
that. It's really light.
It is really light.
It's the nose is really light and bright. It kind of crispy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could see that, like kind of a green apple.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Crisp morning air.
Correct. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Perfect for the mountains.
Just a
It really is.
That's good.
just before your morning jog.
Is it good?
yeah.
I'm not having
Don't
it.
drink it
Yeah,
then.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Don't drink that then.
I almost had a beer before I worked out today, and I was like, that's not a good idea. That's a bad idea.
Oh,
It is good.
interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different.
I
It
get
is different.
I get it being like really bright right at the beginning.
Yeah. It's like someone just turned the lights on in your mouth.
Yeah.
There is a whole bunch of like burnt caramel towards the back of the palate. I feel.
It's nice and silky.
Mhm.
That's what I like about it. The heat kind of stays up at the very front of the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's almost peanut buttery.
The more that I let it aerate in the glass, the more I get kind of like a rickhouse smell to it.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
get that more
Mhm.
than any kind of nutty.
Yeah.
But I totally see that.
But I did have nuts earlier on my salad, so I don't know if that's...
I think that
Influencing you.
Yeah, I think that the
Influencing.
world just wants you to have nutty bourbon, Chad.
So if
They just find you.
Mm-hmm.
if I start smelling like pimento cheese on anything, is that gonna?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. Yeah, it's good stuff.
it's
I think it
nice.
was
I like
a-
it.
this was
It's
a good.
interesting.
Yeah, this was a good flying blind.
Yeah, it was a good experiment too. It was better than the one we did last week, which we will
Yes.
not speak of
Right.
until we try
Round
it again.
2 revisions.
Oh, yeah.
Do you, you
I don't even remember what it was. I
No,
just
I
remember I
remember.
didn't like
This
it.
is better.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll-
Yay, us.
Yay! Hooray! Take 2 is always usually sometimes better.
Back to 1.
But, yeah. Well, anyway, as we are finishing up our flying blind pour, I got to ask you guys, what have you been drinking recently?
Well, we, as you alluded to, released the day of this recording our Halloween episode, which was Flight of the Living Dead.
Oh, by the way, this is going to be our Halloween episode.
Oh, well,
So
there
it's
you
coming
go.
out next week. So happy Halloween,
Happy
everybody.
Halloween.
At some point in this episode, Chad will break out into werewolf bar mitzvah.
You know I will. Yeah, actually, thanks to Chad Hawley, one of our patrons,
Yeah.
for
Yes.
suggesting the Flight of the Living Dead
Loved
thing.
it.
So we took 4 dead labels, which ended up being Jim Beam Choice, Heaven Hill, Bottled and Bond, R.I.P.
Early time
Early Times
354.
354, and Old Crow Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And can you give any spoilers as to what you might have chosen in that flight fight?
No.
As I anticipated.
When you're done with this podcast, you should go watch it.
It will be linked below in the
Yeah, I'll just say
description.
that there were maybe I can't remember if we put Old Crow Reserve in the 50 under 20.
I don't
under 25.
remember.
I don't think so.
I
I
don't
don't
think we
think
did
so.
either.
I think it was
I think it was
discontinued at that
discontinued
point.
at that point.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it had 2 of the bourbons that went head to head in the 50 under 25. Were the results the same? I don't
know.
Maybe, but maybe they weren't.
You'll have to watch to find out.
Yes.
Did
Yeah.
you guys rehearse this before? Or
This is just how we talk.
Yeah.
Foliage Girl, have you had anything good?
Foliage Girl. I know. I love Halloween because I get to bring that episode up again. The
Every
original
time.
Old Crow Uncorking, and like new people watch it and they're like, "Oh my god, this is my favorite."
Have you seen that episode?
I don't
You
think
should
so.
really just move, like, just scan towards the middle and start watching because it's just Chad trying to like actually host an uncorking, and I'm just sitting over here like
Foliage.
just saying like it tastes like foliage and shit. It's good. I don't
An
know.
actual
Okay.
quote.
I'm
Leaves.
visibly intoxicated.
And Chad is visibly having
Yeah,
a very good
he's
time.
like
That's
basically
great.
trying to, what do you call it? Herd a cat.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, come on,
Yeah.
let's get through the
Here we go.
episode.
Keep the
You
train
can
on the
do
track.
it.
Attention
Stay,
span
yeah,
is-
keeping the
There
train
it
on the
is.
tracks. So, what have I been drinking?
Yeah, that episode's had a little resurgence here lately.
Yeah, it sure has. What have I been drinking? I've been drinking a lot of the stuff that I got for my birthday,
Yeah.
which was really great. Got a really great Knob Creek single barrel pick from a guy named Barry, who's in our LBS group. Got some stuff from our out of town Patreon people, our fans. It was really cool. Some Old Pogue and what else? Some
the Schnecks,
Schnecks and
the Baumburgers.
Baumburgers,
and-
yep. Mm-hmm. Lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
I can't even list it all. There's a shit ton of it.
Yeah.
So
The Baumburgers was really good.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I had a great day. Got a Old Forester single barrel that tasted like Lucky Charms. I was really excited about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Not like actually like Lucky Charms, but it reminded me of the marshmallows in Lucky Charms.
I wonder if you chase that with a Leinenkugel, if it would be good. Because it tastes like...
Oh,
Lucky
it kind of
Charms.
tastes like Fruity Pebbles a little bit.
No, sorry, Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you can just have
Oh,
a bowl of
okay.
cereal.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Is it the sweetness or is it just?
It's not sweet. It's more of like the texture of the marshmallows and a little bit of sweetness, but it has that kind of like
Odd.
marshmallowy,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know,
Powderiness?
mouthfeel
Smackiness?
kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Kurt, what about you?
I have been drinking Wilderness Trail, and
nice.
then the other thing I've been drinking is Rebel Yell 10 Year.
Yes.
Yes, and
Good
that
stuff. Big on the weeders right
big
now,
fan.
huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's all. That's
But you've
all
been
I've
drinking
having.
Perry.
Well,
As he sits with like 50 bottles
Like
in
you
front
guys
of him.
need to see this. I'm gonna take a picture of it. It looks like Perry has built a bourbon fortress to keep the rest of us out.
this is my bourbon castle.
Yeah.
He's the king.
Yeah.
Is this your moat? Is this a modern day moat?
Yeah. You must part the sea of bourbon in order
In order
to
to-
access the Holy Land, which implies that it's me, and it's not. So I'm going to move on past that. So this isn't necessarily what I've been drinking, but kind of what I'm going to be drinking, I guess. But so today, our buddy Swan texted us and was like, "Hey, I found all of these awesome things at this store." And he was like, "Oh, there's an old bottle, old style Elijah Craig bottle." He's like, "It wasn't age stated though." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine." And I wound up going to that store too, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna pick up, some extra stuff." And I was like, "I like that old bottle design," and so I was like, "Well, even if it's not age stated, I'll still get it." I was checking out, and I picked up the bottle and turned it around just to be safe, and it was age stated on the back.
Whoa.
And I had a little giddy moment.
Yeah, there for a minute they took the 12 from the front and just moved it to the back.
Right.
And then it went away.
Yeah. And I mean, regular Elijah Craig now is still very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually-
you like that old bottle? I'm one for liking old bottles. I'm talking about the actual bottle.
The
The old
bottle
bottle.
shape.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. No, I do. I prefer the new one.
Yeah,
Agreed.
But I like the vintage feel
I
of the
like
old
vintage feeling bottles, but that
I like the new one.
the I call it the pirate script.
It's weird.
Where it's like jagged Elijah
Yeah.
Craig. It just looks
And
like it's
kind
trying to
of
be a
hard
pirate.
to hold it. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Sure.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like
Pouring
that
from
bottle.
it's a lot
It's
harder.
a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys like the new Elijah Craig 18 and 20 and 23 year bottles? Have you seen them?
I think I have, but I can't remember now what they look like.
They basically just look like Jefferson's
That's what I was
bottles.
going to say. Aren't
Yeah.
they just like Jefferson's bottles?
Mhm.
Then I'm okay with it as long as
The cork
is
isn't as
good.
dumb.
Yeah. They don't quite have the character that the old bottles did with the actual labels and everything, because it's much like the new ones are, where the logo is all printed on the
Yeah.
bottle, which is fine. I mean, it's nice and in line now with the rest of their packaging.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought that the old ones had a little bit more
Uniqueness.
coolness to
Yeah.
them. Yeah. Anyway.
Well.
So, I mean, that's just kind of what I'm going to be drinking, not necessarily what I've been drinking.
Cool.
But, yeah. So, as we kind of get into this episode, I say we pour something else. And basically, what all is on the table, aside from a couple of new things, is kind of like greatest hits from the show so far. And so, I say what we do is we go all the way back to episode 1. Way back. We were just
The
fledgling
Wayback
little.
Machine.
Yes. Which came out a year ago yesterday, which is
Aw.
crazy. And I went back and listened to that episode, as I was telling Curtis yesterday, and it was brutal.
Oh,
I'm
no.
going to be very honest with you.
We tried,
But we did.
Yeah.
You have to start somewhere.
which
So-
is what I told you.
It's always funny though to look at yourself and how far you've come. You're like, ooh, cringe. Why? At the time, I was like so proud. Though. At the
I
time,
know,
though, you
yeah,
were like, I
exactly.
did a great job, and then
Yeah.
you watch it a couple years later, and you're like, ooh,
What was I thinking?
yeah.
Anyway, so our very first episode, we did a blind flight fight of 3 budget bottled and bond bourbons, and it's still not easy to say to this day. And it was between Very Old Barton bottled and bond, Evan Williams bottled and bond, and Heaven Hill bottled and bond. So any of those 3, I'm going to put on the table. Well, they're already on the table. I'm going to put forth to you to choose from. If there's one you may not have had in a while that you want to go back and revisit, we could do that, or,
I haven't had Evan Williams.
That's what I was gonna
BID
choose.
in a hot minute.
let's
Yeah.
do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't know.
We
I mean,
literally just had the Heaven Hill.
you did.
So.
Yeah. So I'm going to take that off the table.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
And I think on the first episode, didn't I thought the Evan Williams was my
I think
favorite,
you
right?
chose the Evan Williams
think I
as
chose
your,
the Evan
your
Williams.
favorite,
Yeah.
and Tanner and I both chose the Heaven Hill.
People have been asking us a lot lately, like, what would you recommend as a replacement for the Heaven Hill? And I'm like,
We're working on
I don't know yet.
Give us
Chill,
some
it just
time.
happened.
it. Yeah.
Need some research.
Let the bottle get cold.
It's not even in the ground.
It sounds like you're putting a bottle to find 20 years, 30 years down the road in your backyard or something. And
Yeah. Well, I am.
your kid. Okay, fair enough.
I'm burying bottles. With a map.
Chad's address is.
He's been doing some weird stuff. He gets up at 3:00 in the morning and just stares.
He makes
he
a
just
pot of
stands over
coffee.
the bed and stares.
He doesn't even like coffee that much.
It's like paranormal activity.
yeah,
He doesn't even like coffee. He doesn't.
it's such a strange thing. Anyway, so again, this is our 51st /50th episode. But
Woo.
1 year anniversary. And I like I said too, I want to kind of take a look back at our journey as bourbon drinkers, and important milestones, where we kind of started, what led us to being the sophisticated bourbon drinkers that we are now.
Oh,
Sophisticated.
Yes.
Yes, tell me more.
So I thought maybe the best way to kind of start this off is to talk about what your first memory of bourbon is. So whoever really wants to go first, I'm just going to kind of open the floor to you guys, and whoever wants to start, feel free to.
As we all look at each other.
We are all just looking at each other. Someone go. I'll go. Okay, so for those of you who watch our show regularly, you may have noticed that Chad and I are not the biggest fans of regular Maker's Mark, which is funny because that's like my first memory of bourbon is seeing my mom has 3 sisters and 2 brothers, and I think all of them drink Maker's Mark pretty much, especially her sisters. So I can remember every holiday from as young as I can remember seeing the bottle with the red wax and like knowing it was liquor but not being curious about it. And all of a sudden, in like middle school, I think I was just like, what is this? I never tasted it, but they would mix it.
What's this bourbon thing?
And they're from Marion County, which is right where the Maker's Distillery is. So I guess it's just that kind of like loyalty to the area.
Yeah.
But yeah, they used to mix it with Mellow Yellow or Squirt. Yeah, or
That's
Mountain
so
Dew.
gross.
Or Mountain Dew was the other one.
Ugh.
Yeah. So
Not
they
only
still
does-
do that a little bit, I think, but
Like the taste, what I imagine the taste to be like sounds gross,
Mm-hmm.
but then when I think about what it actually looks like in the glass,
yeah.
and it's that
Even
weird
worse.
like
It's that weird like
muddy-
green muddy
Yeah.
color. Yeah.
Oh.
But what's crazy to me is that they've been drinking that since I was little. So for the past 20 years, at least 20 to 25 years, they've been drinking Maker's Mark or more. And in all of that time, I've been introduced to bourbon, moved way past that. And then like now I go to family gatherings and they're still drinking it. And I'm like, turn my nose up. But I just think it's crazy too when you think about it, like how brands can get that loyalty for a lifetime almost.
Sure.
That's cool. So
Isn't that your job to like what's the word? Evangelize?
I've talked about it. They
about
just
it?
Evangelize,
like it.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
just like it. It's just their thing.
It's just their thing.
What if I just told you, Chad, stop drinking Pepsi, drink Coke?
But come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I see the
Wait,
error
you're
of
a
my
Pepsi?
ways now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diet
Ah,
Pepsi.
Diet Pepsi.
If I was just like,
Gotcha.
Chad, no more Diet Pepsi. You
Coke
have to
Zero
drink Coke.
or Diet Pepsi.
No Coke Zero, just regular Coke. He doesn't want to.
I don't want to.
So much sugar.
I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
like that
I
at
am
all.
imagining your family.
Or RC Cola. There you go.
oh,
Royal Crown.
Yes. So, see, you wouldn't want to change.
Crown Royal Crown.
Well, actually, you may have just given me an idea for Sunday's live show because we have to come up with an idea for Sunday's Halloween live show.
Okay.
What if we test other people's whacked out bourbon mixer drinks?
Oh.
We drank bourbon and Mellow Yellow and other crazy.
Interesting.
There you go.
Okay,
Huh.
okay.
Okay,
All
so
right.
so what would you do as your ideal mixer bourbon for that then?
I don't know. I don't mix bourbon anymore.
We've
so
got
it's-
like a big thing of Woodford. I feel like a lot of people mix
Oh,
that.
you mean what bourbon?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
not
yeah.
mixer for the bourbon.
Okay.
but-
Probably Woodford, or I don't know. We could
I
try
would do
Makers.
Woodford, Makers, Evan Williams Black Label,
BT.
Jim Beam. Just like,
Yeah.
Maybe some
The stuff
Bart,
people are
very
buying
old
to
Barton.
mix.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well,
Any other memories? First encounters?
Chad?
The bourbon kind?
My earliest is
T-shirt.
That'd be great.
what's that?
First encounters of the bourbon kind.
Nice.
I love it.
Is homemade cough remedy that my mom made, which was bourbon, honey, vinegar.
Ew.
That might have been it.
Water, tea,
No.
Honey, bourbon,
Just vinegar.
a little bit of vinegar in there. It's good.
no hot water,
Yeah, hot water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just like a teaspoon of it.
lemon.
Yeah, lemon.
Lemon.
There we
lemon,
go.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew there was something I was missing.
Something to mask that vinegar.
Not
like,
like
good
hot
Lord.
toddy, yes.
No, not like a hot toddy. It
little bit of
was
salt
it
in
was
there.
more
Yeah.
concentrated because you just got a teaspoon of it. And at first, I didn't like it. I thought it was gross. And then I started to actually like it the older I got.
So you got a sore throat
So I got a sore throat a lot. I'm like, I
Yeah.
need some of that homemade
On purpose.
remedy. Yeah.
because it makes me feel all warm
Mom.
and fuzzy.
And my mom,
good.
yeah, my mom and dad aren't big drinkers at all, but they would occasionally make a hot toddy. So I would sip that and be like, I don't like it. But then later I would take a little sip and be like, oh, this is actually pretty good. So I think inadvertently they kind of gave me a little taste for bourbon early on.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my earliest. I have others. I'm sure we all have others.
Oh, of course. Do you guys like hot toddies with green tea?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
will-
I like to make a green. I don't know that I call it a hot toddy. Like I'll make green tea with lemon and honey, and then be like, just a splash
Just
of
a
Wild
little
Turkey
bit of
101.
fun.
bit
Yeah.
of bourbon.
Just a little bit in there. Yeah, because why not?
Kentucky
yeah, why not?
up
So when your
that
throat
tea.
hurts, I always tell people if
And if it
bourbon
doesn't
won't
hurt-
cure it, it'll at least make you forget it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't hurt, it won't make it hurt.
Yeah.
Exactly. Only helps.
So you might
right?
as well.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Sure.
Why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my first bourbon experience was, and I hate to say it, but it was like American honey too, which it's not even bourbon, but it was just, that was my initial.
Don't sigh, because
Yeah,
that's mine,
I know.
too.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Like, I'm not happy about it.
I'm kidding.
It was just sweet, and I was like, I can handle that. But a little further into it, I started having, the Jim Beam and Cokes, and that was more to, I was in college, and, that's what we could get our hands on, and that's
Right.
what we would do. And having just bourbon neat wasn't a thing just yet for us,
Sure.
at least for me. And then,
Did you do shots of bourbon? Because
Oh.
back then
no,
it was a
yeah,
sh- it was a- it was a
everything was a
shot
shooter.
age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
we
but not
wouldn't.
straight liquor. Not really.
Not bourbon.
Oh, yeah.
Vodka.
Sometimes.
Tequila.
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 Pam's not listening. That's okay.
But yeah, this was like really early of vodka and like tequila and just bad
Yeah.
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember having Jim Beam and Coke and just saying like, man, this is actually, sure, it's just Coke, but it's something different. I
Right.
kind of enjoyed that. So
Mhm.
that's probably one of my earliest experiences, because I'm from Ohio and my parents don't drink alcohol, so I never really had that experience. But
Yeah. Isn't it weird how, back in your college days, you take shots, but I feel like at least for my crowd, it was only if you were kind of dared into it would you take a shot of bourbon. Because
Yeah, nobody
Yeah.
wanted
First-
to take a straight
yeah,
shot.
first of all,
it was punishment.
Oh,
Bourbon
just of bourbon.
just a bourbon, like
Oh,
in
okay.
a shot glass.
I was going to say, because I know plenty of people who would take shots without being challenged.
Oh, no, I know.
Like a
True.
straight shot.
Yeah.
It was a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking, back then, back before I was really acclimated to bourbon, that was like kind of punishment to just turn up a shot. I don't feel like bourbon is meant to be shot. It's
Oh,
not
no.
a, it's
Oh,
not
no.
a,
I
it's
don't
not a
think so
shooter.
either.
So you take like a full ounce like that back then before, now we could do it. I wouldn't prefer it.
I could
I
do
like
it.
to enjoy my bourbon,
Yeah.
but
That's what
I
bottle
think
chugs
it's just
are
so
for.
hot
Yeah.
that it'll get you,
Yeah.
You that much that quick, you're like, oh, my eyes are
especially
stinging.
the bourbon that, you would have at your availability back then, which would
Right.
have been
Sure.
the cheaper stuff, which
Yeah.
is just also just not good to drink neat sometimes, depending on the
most
bottle.
times. Yeah.
Most times. So yeah, that was always like vodka. Sure, it tastes like nothing. Tequila, okay,
Ugh,
big deal.
I
That's where
hate,
you wanna go.
hate
You take a shot of
vodka.
bourbon, you're like, oh
That'll-
man,
It's like getting punched in the
Yeah,
stomach.
like, let me
Yeah.
take a moment real quick.
yeah.
I just need to.
I gotta
At
mentally
that
prepare.
point, it was
I'm
just
okay.
like,
yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people, are like, oh, I don't drink bourbon. Because they go back to that. They never
That
progress past that getting dared to take a shot of it or
Well,
or
there are so
whatever.
many people who.
Really? There's so many people that
What do they do?
that ribbit.
It is the Halloween
it was a
episode.
ribbit. It was.
Frog in your throat?
Okay. Anyway, so there are so many people who associate like Turkey 101 with being like punishment bourbons. I lost Curtis for a second. Sorry. With like that's the bourbon that they had to shoot like in at frat parties or
Yeah.
during.
Dang, that's a nice frat party.
Well, yeah,
I'm
but
trying to
back-
go to that one.
But back then, that was seen as
Yeah.
rock
you'd be looked
gut
at
rock.
as like such a badass.
Yeah,
You went to a frat party and you were just like, you were just tipping them
Turning-
down like in the
turning 'em
beginning
up.
of
What else
Raiders
you
of the Lost
got?
Ark.
Yeah. Be like, you got any cast
Oh,
strength
yeah.
around here?
Yeah, where's that at?
Yeah. Where's your barrel proof bourbon?
Isn't it weird? That's how we start. Like for the most part, drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
We're just like
Shooting
yes.
Yeah.
Everything.
yeah.
Just give it.
Shots.
But I mean, that's kind of how I started too. Was that I went really hard, really early, and then super backed off.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
because like my earliest memories of bourbon are the bottle of Makers that my dad, back to Makers, that bottle that my dad always had, in the kitchen. That was what his daily drinker was, and so I just knew that bourbon was a part of, of life and everything. But I also, up until the time I was about 19 or 20, said I'm never going to drink. I was always that guy who was like, no, I'm not going to have. I'm not
Were you
going to have.
straight edge? Did you have the X's?
No, I wasn't. No. It was just I didn't have to associate with other people to, have my own identity.
Sure,
you know
sure.
what I mean? But it was just I never wanted to drink.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the first thing I ever had to drink was like a glass of wine at Thanksgiving. Because Lucy was like, "It's just wine." I was like,
Lucy, you
and
enabler.
Yeah.
Lucy started it all. Yeah.
No, Lucy's the best.
No, she's great.
But
Then she
still
was
an
like,
enabler.
chug out of this bottle. You're like, oh.
Be a man.
But like past that, I ran the whole gamut of like trying, like Irish whiskey, and I think I might have, had like a little bottle of scotch or something at some
None of
point
it
too that I, didn't really like that much. But then like my next step was one of those like gift set boxes of Jim Beam Devil's Cut
with the rocks glasses.
with the rocks glasses in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there was one specific night where I just went way too hard with that bottle.
Wow.
And so like after that, I was like, I want to drink bourbon, but I just don't think I can do it right now. So I backed off to like Jim Beam Honey or American Honey. And, that was what I drank for a while. That was what my neat bourbon drinking was at
Oh,
that
it was
point.
neat?
It was neat, yeah.
Wow.
But I would also do things like mix it with lemonade or,
Yeah, I missed.
But it was really good. It's a
So
really
complete badass or mixed with lemonade.
good. There was no
Yes.
in between
No
for
in
me.
between. Yeah.
But I slowly worked my way back up to like, bourbon and Coke, and then on the rocks, and on the rocks with a little bit of water, and then neat, and then it was like I'm not going back to to anything else too.
Nice.
But I think it's important too to note. And actually, before we do that, let's talk about what we've been drinking on. It's this
talk
Evan
about
Williams
this.
bottled
You know
and
what?
bond.
Yeah.
I'm actually rather impressed with this. I haven't
I
had
am
it in a
too.
while, and I feel like it's not so bad.
It's a little rough around the edges.
just a little, but I think it's lovable still.
It's the little brother of Heaven Hill bottled and bond.
Right. It's a little. Yeah.
So is it based on our reactions right now, is it a suitable replacement for Heaven Hill bottled and bond?
Not a replacement, no.
It's not quite there.
No.
It's a second place.
Yeah. Right now, anyway.
I would
Yeah.
allow it, but it's not
I'll allow it.
like. I feel like Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond is something that I would just pour and sip neat happily.
Yeah.
At, if I see it on the menu
Yeah, it
at a
wasn't last
restaurant, I'm
resort.
like, yeah. And I feel like this is like, all right, I'll take it. It's like consolation, and you want to find that thing
Okay,
that you're
sure.
just as happy to have. And I don't think we've found that yet.
Well,
so.
I think that is kind of what this feels like right now, is a consolation prize.
Yeah.
Being able to see the coup de grace of value bourbons,
Sure.
and it got snatched away from you at the last second, and then you're standing on the awards platform, and you're just looking up at the.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you finish, but Heaven Hill BIB put out the greatest bourbon.
Well, Chad just poured a little bit of it, so I'm curious what he thinks in a back-to-back pour.
Oh, yeah.
Heaven Hill,
For sure.
yeah.
It has that same nuttiness, but the edges are smoothed out. There you go.
Ding.
Yeah, it's just a superior product.
Like if I had it my way, we would have one of those little dings, little counters, everywhere we go. It would just hang over Chad's head. Just, the number would
Well,
just
there's one
flip
in the
like at
latest
the
show.
train stations or something. I love it. No, I know. I saw, obviously.
One of my favorite things, though, was like you were like mid-thought and you were thinking really hard about what you were drinking and you just casually went like that. It was so perfect. Anyway.
I was really hoping he would add that in there. I was like, if not, I'm just look like a crazy person waving my arm around.
I
It
had
turned out
time.
good. It turned out good.
I agree. Sorry, I had a
What's
drink.
next, Captain?
All right.
Um,
Lead us.
well, let's move up a little bit, shall we?
Perry's being our bourbon shaman right now. He's showing us. He's leading us
Let me
through.
guide you through
Yes.
this.
Through the afterlife?
I don't know.
maybe?
I guess
it's
so.
Halloween, right?
Our
Sure.
Sherpa,
Sure.
if you
Yeah,
will.
there we go.
Sherpa. Is that what I said?
You said shaman?
Oh, Sherpa is what I meant.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Shamans do our medicine, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
They are. Yes.
You know, I'm not going to show any more of my ignorance. I'm just going to leave this alone.
Be our witch doctor.
Let's move on.
Do the mash.
Okay.
The bourbon mash. He did the mash. Hey.
It took a lot longer than
Hey, that's
It
good.
was a graveyard smash. He did the mash. He did the bourbon mash. Wow.
I don't know if you guys know that Chad loves
That's
Halloween.
beautiful.
Yeah, thanks.
Is it your favorite holiday?
It's one, yeah, probably.
He really
Okay.
loves
It's
Halloween.
really.
Yeah.
I used to back when I lived at home with my parents. I used to really do Halloween up. Like when I was younger, my sister and I would have haunted houses in the basement. When I got older,
For just the two of you? Or?
no, we invited
Oh, okay.
the
Did you
neighborhood.
make them pay?
No.
Ah.
When I got older and she was too cool for that, I would just deck out my porch. And I had these drawings that never fully came to fruition, but I had like rudimentary, what I would call blueprints of how I was going to turn the porch into like this cage using tobacco sticks.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to build a coffin out of our old garage door. And
When Chad puts his mind to something,
yeah.
He
I
means
mean,
it.
he built a set in the basement, so
That's true.
2 sets actually.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's a good point.
there you go.
Yeah, no, I love it.
He does. He
I
loves
do.
it.
I do.
But anyways,
You'll be getting a Halloween card from me in the
Ooh.
mail this week.
Nice.
Love Halloween.
what's next?
So I say what we do is we shift gears a little bit. It may be another Bottle and Bond, but this was the first real craft bourbon that we had on the show that we gave pretty high
Pretty
praise
good ratings,
to.
yeah.
So this is the Wilderness Trail Bottle and Bond. This is from batch B. So it was their
Be
second
batch.
Ooh.
good deep cork.
I
pop
like
there.
this bottle.
I love it.
This is a substantial bottle.
It is
I'm a big fan.
easy to hold, easy to pour from.
Yeah.
You know.
It's shaped like a brick.
Shout out to Mediocre Creative,
Yeah.
who did the branding and
Yes,
the labels.
It's not mediocre.
It's not
Oh, no.
mediocre at all.
Can we all have some before you cork that back up?
Here, I'll take the cork.
Just Sarah is having some.
Did you bring enough to share?
Just like 4 uncorkings.
Yeah, four pops. I've noticed that it never pops the same right after you pop it. It's like it's got to expand back in there. I don't know
Right.
the amount of time, but
Yeah.
you can't
Well-
just pop and pop and pop and it sound the same, which is depressing.
But I mean, also, it's not going to pop the same if you remove some of the liquid from the bottle.
Well, sure, but I'm saying even if you didn't, it doesn't.
Oh, okay. I got you now.
Yeah, it's just like the seal's different.
Also, shout out to Pat Heist from Wilderness Trail. I got to meet him last week, too.
What up, Pat?
Pat.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He's going to be on the show sometime soon.
Oh, nice.
So, Curtis, you stick around for that.
Oh, I will.
So I think the next thing that I really want to talk about, too, in terms of milestones is, you know, we always consider bourbon to be kind of a community and kind of a, dare I say, round table of, you know, drinkers who encourage each other to expand their palates and their horizons and try new things. So who are some of the important people to you guys that helped you along your way? You know, helped you take that next step?
I remember this question from last time. You know, that time they didn't get recorded. And
Wow, I thought that didn't happen.
oh, it happened.
Zing.
By the way, we're still recording.
Good, good, good.
Yes, red light's still on. Is it supposed to be smoking like that?
Why is it on fire?
Can I smell burnt toast?
Well, you talked last time about your bourbon nights and how you used to do those.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I think why this question stuck in my head is because I was wondering if it sounded kind of presumptuous last time, because I was kind of like, I figured it out on my own. What are you all talking about? Or I figured it out with friends instead of like a shaman,
Right.
instead of a Sherpa. And I did, it was just people came over and we had bourbon nights, and my friend Bob was a buddy from college. He was one of the first ones who came over and had a bourbon night with, and we started writing down what we thought about things, and then that transition just had a handy cam to recording ourselves so we could remember better, because our handwriting got messier and messier as the night went on. And we just started with like a collection of 10 bottles, and then that kind of grew over time, and it was just all about trying to figure out what's what and what we liked, because we were tired of, when someone asks you, do you like bourbon? Yeah. Well, what's your favorite bourbon? The default answer, I feel like, back in the day when you're young is, well, I like Woodford. Because Woodford is more money than a casual drinker wants to pay, but not so much that it's like, I like Pappy Van Winkle is my favorite, without going like that. And like anything else that you say, if you said like, oh, I like Rare Breed, people would be like, huh? What's that? So it's like, oh, I like Woodford Reserve. Oh, I've heard of that. Yes, okay, good, I accept.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
That's my favorite bourbon
Right.
too.
Yeah. Oh, that is also
we
my
all
favorite
agree?
bourbon.
All right.
All right,
Let's
good.
move on.
It is decided. Hoorah.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Yes. So it kind of was born out of this, let's not say Woodford Reserve just because. Let's figure it out. And that's how, the bourbon nights kind of
So it was all
start off.
self-motivated.
It was self-motivated because Bob and I are both born in Kentucky, and we're Kentucky boys. Let's figure this bourbon thing out.
So did you kind of feel then like what's the word?
I don't know.
An obligation. Did you feel an obligation?
I didn't
to
feel an
to like
obligation.
I
bourbon?
feel like maybe like a point of pride as like for your state.
Okay, that's
Yes,
fair.
Definitely.
And from where you're from, Chad's from Bourbon County.
Bourbon
so
County, Kentucky.
I think that,
Yeah.
if
Definitely.
anyone's going to do it right, it's going to be him.
Right.
And like we were saying with the haunted house, though, like if he puts his mind to something, he's going to do it the best. Like, so I feel like with bourbon, you just took it on as a challenge to know as much as you could about it.
For sure.
If
Yeah.
ever there were a definition of 110%,
Yeah. It's
Chad Perkins' picture
110,
would be in the-
110 proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how it started. And then, later, I think a group that actually helped was the Lexington Bourbon Society.
Yeah.
As far as like showing me that community of how it actually is, and generosity for sure. Generosity.
Yeah. They're like the most generous group.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about this last time. So in college, I think, and I think last time Chad may have mentioned a previous girlfriend, and I probably gave you side eye or something.
That was on the Harry Potter podcast.
Oh, oops. Okay. Well, anyway.
Wrong podcast.
Wrong
Embarrassing.
podcast.
Oh, no, we've been on another podcast.
you guys were on a Harry Potter podcast?
Yeah.
What?
You could be a guest too. I'm sure we could work it out.
Okay.
You like the Potter, right?
I love Harry Potter.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll
What
fi-
Harry Potter podcast was it?
It's called Harry Potter and the Half Drunk Podcast.
Freaking love
So
that.
they
That's
do
amazing.
That's
different drinks
perfect.
every week
Yeah.
while they. Thank you. I helped name this.
Did
I
you
helped come
really?
up with it. Well, we were spitballing together.
Sure.
This girl told me she wanted to do a podcast, and so I was like, "Well, what kind of things do you like?" She's like, "Well, I like Harry Potter." I'm like, "And you like wine, so why don't you make it like Harry Potter in the Goblet of Wine or something?" And then she came
Right.
up with, and I was just like, "Totally do it." She was like, "I
Perfect.
don't know. I don't think people want to listen to me." I'm like, "Listen, if people want to listen to me, they'll listen to you." So, but anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
So back in college, I had a boyfriend, and he drank a lot of whiskey,
This is the first I'm hearing of this.
and I was not
You've
a
had other
fan.
boyfriends?
I was not a fan.
Rabble.
But there was this
Fur,
one
fur.
night after the bars when I was feeling pretty good. And
Sarah with an H.
I was Sarah with an H, and we went back and just sat on the couch and watched a movie, but there was nothing to drink in the house. And I was
And that's all they did. They just watched the movie.
No, yes. And I was still wanting to drink something else. You guys!
No, it's okay. I'm listening.
Not that, just the faces.
No, okay.
Disapproving looks.
So I wanted to drink something else, but the only thing in the house was scotch. And I'm
Poor,
just now
poor soul.
remembering this because
Yeah.
it was very hazy because I don't remember. But I remember drinking scotch and water out of a teacup, like a fancy tea set teacup. Because it was like a poor dude's, not poor, but a young man's apartment with not a lot of clean dishes. And for some reason,
But he had a fancy tea
his
set.
roommate
Yeah.
had some sort of teacup or something. Or it was like one of those really fancy antique coffee cups or
Whiskey in
something.
a
Yeah.
teacup.
Now,
So
did he,
I'm drinking
That's
scotch
perfect.
and water out of a teacup, just drunk.
So did he tell you that it was his roommate's tea
I
set?
don't remember.
Or...
I honestly don't remember the details. I just
That's
remember
great.
I was drinking it out of a teacup, and I was like, I'm so drunk that I don't hate it, but I don't like it. But there's something about this whiskey thing that is intriguing to me, and I think that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to try this whiskey thing.
But maybe just not scotch.
But maybe not scotch, maybe bourbon. Because I can remember his group of friends, they would get a bottle of Elijah Craig and everybody would be like, ooh, that's fancy. Now I'm like, oh, but that's $30. But like at the time, that was considered fancy. Like if you got a bottle of Knob Creek or Elijah Craig, like
Yeah.
you were baller.
I had so many people in college that you brought Knob Creek, and they would be like, "Yes, the Mecca."
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It was just like, oh.
Okay, sure.
But
Why not?
other than that, it was Evan. I started off after that with Evan Williams Black Label and Coke, and I was like, I am on a mission. And then it was Evan Williams Black Label and ginger ale, and then water, and then just a cube of ice, and then neat. And at the time, I was working for OBC Kitchen when it just opened
Yep.
up. I was working in the office for the restaurant group. And that's when I was like, all right, we're opening this thing, and it's got a lot of bourbon. And you know what? I'm really sick of them talking about these 200-plus different bourbons, and I don't even know half of them. I don't even know what's going on right now. So I was like, I got to learn about this.
All 200.
All 200. And now I know about all 200.
One by one.
And that's where Chad came in. So I would say that you were probably...
Enter
Enter
Chad.
Chad. Stage right. You were
Lights dim.
probably the biggest nudge for me. I don't think I ever would have taken it past just
Casual.
casually exploring, except then Chad came along and did the video for OBC Kitchen, and that's how we met, and we started having bourbon nights and hanging out, and then we were like, well, hell, let's just film it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it began.
And the rest is history.
Origin story.
Somebody make a comic book, please.
Oh, we're gonna.
Illustrating its bourbon nights comic book. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That seemed awfully serious. Like, is that really happening?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if that's the
But
case.
I know how to sell it.
And I've thought about it a lot.
What about you guys? I feel like I took
Yeah.
a long time talking about bourbon
And your
steps.
Well, you went off on
teacup-
your old boyfriend.
your
and then
teacup
that
ex-boyfriend.
Well,
that
you all made it real complicated. I was just trying to tell the teacup story.
Oh, it's complicated.
I just
now.
want to know who he's dating now, if he had a teacup set.
I don't know.
Okay. I'm still not
He's
convinced that
probably
it was
married.
his.
I like that
I'm-
answer.
I'm still not convinced that
He's
it was his
probably
roommate's. tea
I don't
set.
know whose teacup
I don't know
it
why,
was.
but I keep going to like the paper teacups. Have you ever seen those with the handles?
Oh, like the ones that you get at the.
Like the Chinette
Yeah,
ones?
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know why I kept going to that, but
No,
yeah.
no, it's all good. What about you, Curtis? Who are
so I have,
important
like,
people in your bourbon journey?
I have kind of 2 points. My brother, he kind of introduced me to 1792, which was when that was probably like I'd say 3 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And he really kind of was a big point of me kind of transitioning to more of a relaxed drinking style. And because I used to live with my brother, and we would have kind of just sort of bourbon nights, like Chad was saying. Not to as extensive as yours, but we would just be sitting on the couch and we'd have a glass of bourbon. And I just remember having 1792. And so that was a big kind of the next progression of me transitioning to drinking more on the rocks, neat, kind of stuff like that.
Of course.
After that, though, I would say meeting Perry was
Aw.
Bourbon buddy.
bourbon buddies. Because, and it's funny because you said that, oh, I didn't really start drinking until I was like 20 or so.
Yeah.
first meeting Perry, I thought that he had been drinking for a while.
My entire life.
And he was
straight out of the womb.
He just put on a good front, I guess, because he was like, yeah, dude, you should try this bourbon and this bourbon and this bourbon. And I was like,
Well, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. You're leaving out the part where by the time that I got to EKU, I had already done 3 years of school. So I was,
yeah,
and I didn't really know you until about a year or two after that.
that's true.
So I had enough time to become more well-versed in bourbon.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, because school-wise, you were a year ahead of me,
Mm-hmm.
But in real life, you're 2 years younger than me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had, time to learn
More about it.
more
yeah.
about it, but school-wise, we
Yeah.
weren't at the same
Either
on the same
way.
page. But anyway,
Yeah,
I know
but
what
Perry
you're saying.
Was
though.
probably
Yeah.
an important person in me
Well,
drinking bourbon.
Thank you, Curtis.
Because then that's when we started thinking about, maybe we do a podcast, or
Yeah.
let's just talk about it. Let's have a bourbon night.
And the first real bourbon night that we had was because I got that bottle of Van Winkle 12 year.
Yeah.
And Sarah
And I
made a
fe- yeah.
wah face.
Wah-ha-ha.
I don't know why it was a French person. But
Yeah, he was. Oh, it was definitely French.
French, yeah.
That's exactly the noise I made in my head. Oh.
But I entered that first year that I even knew that Pappy Holidays at Kroger existed, where you put your name in for the opportunity to buy Pappy, and I won on the first year, and I got the bottle of the 12 year, and I opened it and everything because I was like, I'm not gonna let this go to waste. And Chad has a question.
No, I have a comment, but I don't want
Yes?
to forget it, so I'm doing a visual marker.
Oh, okay, good deal.
Go ahead.
Chad has a question for the future.
Just not right now.
Yeah.
Just not right now.
I think I might know what your question is going to be. But
It's a comment.
Oh, it's a comment. Sorry. But I was like, I want to, drink this and share it with other people. So my immediate thought was, let's have a bourbon night and try other things as well. And so, we had a whole lineup of different things that we tried that night, and it was like Rittenhouse Rye and Maker's 46, and I can't even remember what all it was. Kurt, do you?
I can't remember other than the Maker's 46.
Because that was what you
Happy.
brought.
Yeah. The Rittenhouse.
Angel's Envy? Was Angel's Envy in there too?
Angel's Envy was in the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we've since grown to dislike, but that's just me. But anyway, and I think like at that point we were still kind of talking about doing like a Wednesday bourbon club
Mm-hmm.
or something like that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what you were going to name it, right? The Wednesday Bourbon
It was
Club?
going to be the Wednesday bourbon club. Yeah, because, we were like, every...
Because we were for sure we're going to be able to get together on every Wednesday.
Yeah, every Wednesday.
It was better than your first suggestion, which was the Hump Day Bourbon Club.
Oh.
So at least you went with Wednesday, so that's good. Thank you.
I wasn't expecting
No,
that.
that
I'm
wasn't
sorry.
right. No,
okay,
not
Chad,
accurate.
What
Okay.
was... Let me recover. What was your comment that you...
I just want to comment on the Pappy Holidays. There is an individual, and I don't. I'll just. You don't need to know his name, so I'll just leave his name out. But he went to every Kroger in a day. I don't know how many days he did this, but he planned it out. I'm gonna get up. He plotted his route. I drive to this one, then it's just this many miles to this one, so he could enter every day at every Kroger in a I don't know how many mile radius. And I'm like, what do you do so where you have time and gas money to drive around to Kroger Wine and Spirits
Here's my question.
and put in your name?
Did he win?
Oh, he for sure won. I don't remember which level of Pappy that he won, but yeah, he won.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
If
He
he
put
For
in the
that
work.
level, he just deserves
Because
it.
Yeah,
I-
that determination.
Yeah, I ran into him at a Kroger, and I said this is my second. I'm just gonna hit 2 today. And he was like, I've got it planned out where I can hit all of them in just under 4 hours.
So he spends 4 hours a
That's
day.
wild.
So much driving.
Yeah.
So much gas. Is it worth it at that point?
Some people, I'm sure.
it would be for us because we really want to do an uncorking of one.
Sure.
You know, like I feel like,
Like, that
we
would be
have
huge.
a big
Yeah, of course.
driving motivation. And I don't think he's a flipper either, so I'm sure he drank it. But I also think he's just one of those people who likes to have a bunker. You know, he's
Just
got,
for the sake of having a bunker.
He's got everything.
Oh, wait. I think I know who this is now.
I don't know.
Okay,
Maybe
never
not.
mind. We'll talk about it off
He has
air.
a nickname.
No, I don't know then.
Okay.
We'll talk about it off air.
Yeah, sure.
Back to the topic at hand.
Right.
I would say like I mean, aside from just, random people here and there where I'd, be ordering, maybe it was Makers or Bullet. Bullet was a big one for me for a while too. I think the one person who was kind of a game changer for me was Iverson at OBC.
Aw,
And
my little baby.
I know.
I love him.
And like we talked about this last time too. We're all kind of 6 degrees of separation from
Right. Because I went
from
to middle
Iverson.
school and high school with Iverson.
Yeah.
And then Perry met him
At OBC.
OBC, which is where I used to work.
Uh-huh.
And that's where me and Chad met.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forget what your thing was. Or did you fit?
Perry just introduced me to him.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But
OBC. I have an OBC story.
go ahead. Yeah.
I went there with a friend.
Oh, a friend.
No, it was
huh?
just a friend. It was just a friend to have dinner, and at the time, Brett Connors, yeah, Brett Connors worked there.
Couldn't tell you.
He now works at Castle and Key.
Oh,
Their-
okay.
Last I heard, he was their brand ambassador. I don't know what he is, but anyway, so he was working there, and it's like I was still kind of branching out. Knew some stuff. There's still a lot I didn't know, and I was like, I'm gonna try some bourbon I haven't had. What would you suggest? And he actually came back with like a sheet of paper he'd written stuff down on, because I think I got Wild Turkey Diamond the
Oh,
first
wow.
time.
Ooh.
Yeah, I kind of splurged a little bit because he said it was really good. It was okay.
Sure.
But then he gave me this list, and Old Granddad 114 was on the list.
Oh, yeah.
Amongst some other, I want to say, Willet stuff,
Mhm.
maybe. And I was going to my buddy Seaton, who I had many a bourbon night with, in North Carolina for his wedding. And I'm like, well, I got to go represent Kentucky. So I brought, actually, I ordered E.H. Taylor small batch off this website that would ship to him. Of course, they won't ship to Kentucky.
No. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to ship a bottle to you, one for us to drink, one for you to keep. And anyway, long story short about that one is it never got delivered because they came when we weren't there and they needed, of course, an adult to sign for it. So it never came. So I had to redirect, pay the extra for it to redirect, and it actually did come to me in Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But anyway, but I took this Old Granddad 114, and I'm like, yeah, I haven't had this, but I thought I would share it with everyone because they're from like North Dakota and other places, and did not like it. Did not like Old Granddad. And Sarah and I,
all of that.
we
just-
kind of
At
had
first
we had a tumultuous relationship with Old Granddad,
Granddad
114.
in the beginning,
Yeah.
especially because, like I said, I was at OBC for a while too, and they were just like it was everyone's thing. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's great! I love it! It's awesome!" And I was
Yeah.
just like, "I don't see it. I don't really get it."
Yeah.
And then one day we kept trying.
It took like 3 bottles.
Yeah, it really did.
Because we started using it for cocktails a lot.
Oh,
We
yeah.
did.
It
We
really
started
cut
using
through
it.
well in a
And
cocktail.
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely.
where we agreed. We would say, people love Old Granddad 114, and we just don't get it except in a cocktail where it is awesome. I think it really shines. And then, I don't know, after, about 3 bottles of cocktail mixer later, we tried it again straight, and I was like, you know what? It's not bad. I think I like it.
Yeah.
And then that's when I finally came around to it, I guess.
Yeah. It's weird. I guess there are some of those bourbons that you really have to take some time with.
Sure.
And ever since, I learned that, no, I actually do like Wild Turkey 101, I've been more in that mindset of not to just dismiss something and say, well, I don't like that. That's fine. And never go back to it. Like, I'll still occasionally go back to Maker's Mark and be like, maybe this time. Maybe this time.
Unless it makes you, gag because it's
Yeah.
that
Sure.
gross, then I think that you should revisit often.
It's okay.
Or
I can edit.
regularly.
Well,
Yeah.
I was that way about Bakers for a long time.
No, not
Mhm.
Baker's.
I did not like Baker's for a very long time. And then I just bought a bottle. I mean, I just bit the bullet. I was like,
You bit the bakers.
I bit the Baker's. And then my teeth broke. Sarah's making my glasses
She's
empty.
hardcore making my glasses empty.
We haven't even talked about the Wilderness Trail yet.
Well,
I
it's
know.
gone.
So you like this?
Hurried up.
I did. I think that I really respect what they're doing with the bottled and bond, and it's definitely like a top craft bourbon that I've tried. I liked. Is this the first or second release?
First release.
Okay. I don't know if it's this particular bottle or not, but I remember really, really liking the bottle that I have, and I'm not as keen on this one, only because it's a little bit earthy for my tastes.
Sure.
But that's just me. I don't tend to lean towards the earthy.
I can see that.
Towards the earthy. It has
Yeah.
just a little bit. That's all. I'm not knocking it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's solid, but ever since I had that little drag of Heaven Hill BIB, I'm like
Hard to turn
now
away,
I'm
right?
comparing things to
Yeah.
it, and I'm like, I would go with that Heaven Hill.
R.I.P. Anyway,
Because I think I had the second release of Wilderness Trail.
I think you do too. I think
Yeah.
you have like barrel. It's very odd. She's
You just-
trying to give me her ball.
You can just put it on the ground.
We're talking about the dog.
The
Yeah.
dog, yes.
Just
Not
put-
Sarah.
You can just put it on the ground.
I can't do anything with it right now. I'm going to. Okay.
Yeah, just toss it.
I need an adult. I say we move up on to something that is a little bit higher proof then.
Okay.
Let's do
Is
it.
that okay?
Yes.
So we have a couple of options here. We have two that we could crack fresh. I don't know what we're really going to do for the review yet. We have one that is already open. It's this Russell's single barrel from OBC. Well, I guess we're kind of talking about OBC. Should we do
Kind of makes sense.
the one from OBC?
It's sort of like you met Iverson at OBC, and we didn't meet you at OBC, but we met at OBC. So,
Mhm.
and I used to work
So I guess
there.
we had like 6 degrees of separation from each other then, and not necessarily Iverson.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we all know Iverson.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking there needs to be some type of plaque installed at OBC because there's been a lot of a lot of memorable things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Should we do it like officially, or should we just kind of like
I
Just
think
sneak
that we
in
should
and
just
tack
sneak
up.
in and
guerrilla,
hang it.
like
Yep.
Banksy,
Yep.
full on,
Exactly.
Like, you know,
Well, you know, like
We'll
Coach
just
Cal
carve it
has-
into one of the wood tables. Chad and Sarah. S+C heart.
hard around. Yeah.
You know, Coach Cal has his seat, or is it
Yeah.
Stoops? I think they both do. There should be
At Malone's.
at
Or
OBC.
OBC.
I know at least Stoops does. That like one that sits off by the door in kind of like that little alcove.
Oh, okay.
That's like
I
didn't
didn't
know
know
that.
that.
Stoops booth
Did not know that.
or something.
Stoops booth.
Stoops booth. Yeah.
Okay.
So I
Well,
don't know.
anyway,
But yeah.
could I get a new glass for this one, please?
Sure, Your Majesty.
Which I need to go there more often. I don't get it.
You live like right across
I
the
live
street
right
from
across
it.
the street, but I'd never.
I just
kind of
like hanging
frequent
out
it.
with Iverson. I mean,
I
and
do too.
They've got great bartenders.
Plus their
Jill
food's
is
really
awesome,
good.
and their food's really
Yeah.
good.
I
Their
plan my
happy hour on Fridays is really great. You should go.
I plan my
This
visits.
is a giant ad for
to-
OBC.
Yeah, I know.
You plan?
Yeah.
No, I plan my visits to OBC around whether or not Iverson's gonna.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, honestly, like if I'm gonna go and spend the money there, like I want to,
at least want to hang out with my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Smells really good.
Yeah.
Does.
So
It does smell lovely.
I opened this bottle. This is the first time actually of having it on the show. So it's not really one of our greatest hits, but whatever. I want
It's
you
the
guys
old
to try
bottle
it.
too.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is the old label. So my first experience was with this bottle. I was playing music for a polo match a few weeks ago, and I had just gotten it that day. And I was like, well, I don't have anything else to drink at this polo match. So I was like, well, I'll open up this Russell single barrel. And I think this was picked around the time that OBC opened, because this is only their 46th pick.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's an older one. And I remember...
How'd you get this?
So OBC now has their package license?
Yeah, but how? I'm wondering, like, they still have this laying around. Like, how? I want one. I'm gonna go get one.
Talk to Iverson.
I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
Anyway.
Sorry, my bad.
No, it's all good.
Okay, keep talking.
Anyway, I remembered really liking it, and at the time thought it was one of the best single barrels I had ever had. But I have not had it since, I don't think, aside from maybe like a sip here and there. But Sarah's making the surprise, guys.
Whoa, that is a sensory overload.
Chad didn't
That
really
is
seem to know
all
how
of
to
the
respond to
flavors.
it.
No, it's really good.
I just feel like
It's peppery.
my mouth was the 1 millionth customer and all the balloons dropped or something.
No, it's got that great all over tongue sensation. Nice spice.
Some like almond butter
yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I like this.
it's
I like this
lovely.
bottle a lot.
Very rich.
It's very
Yeah.
good. It's very good.
Rich. That's a great word for it too. Yeah.
It's decadent. I hate
It's a
when they use that word.
it's a decadent
Every
treat.
chocolate is decadent. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's
It's
not.
not.
Divine.
It's
It's-
not.
Yeah, it's chocolate.
It's a Hershey bar, so it's not.
It's a Mars bar.
Yeah, that's not decadent.
Hey, good news. We're still recording.
Yeah. You got to take the small wins.
That's what I've learned.
Took a
From,
big L.
Well, I wasn't going to say it, but now that you did.
but today we bounced back. So
Yeah, there we go.
anyway, back to OBC, I guess.
Back to OBC.
Because I wanted to finish my story about Iverson because this was a really big turning point for me in terms of being a bourbon drinker.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I went in for my dad's birthday, and this was pretty much one of my first like big outings, I guess, after turning 21. You know, and so we went to OBC, and Iverson was our bartender. Didn't know him at the time or anything, and you know, when you walk, for anybody who's not been to OBC, it's a little bit overwhelming at first because
Yeah.
there are over 200 bourbons,
Right.
and they are all laid out on their bar.
And then on the opposite wall, they have a big, long list of like those school board letters that you like insert one at
Yeah.
a time of every single thing that they have. And when you look at that list, they also have an iPad that has all the bourbons on it, and you can sort them by like what country they're from, or
Yep.
alphabetically, or price wise. Kentucky versus whatever in their picks. It just becomes very overwhelming. You're like, oh my God, there are so many options. I don't know what to choose.
And it is overwhelming. It's very
Like at the
intimidating.
Cheesecake Factory, their menu's 25 pages
Oh.
big. How will I know which one I want to get?
Now I want Cheesecake Factory.
No, you don't.
You
I
just want
always want
cheesecake.
Just a little bit. It's a
Cake is
much
a
nicer
sometimes
place than Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is.
Anyways.
So anyway, Iverson was our waiter. And I was like, you know, I remember going, I have the opportunity to try something new and something I've never had before. And I just, again, at that time, I was like, I'm just drinking Bullet. You know, it's nothing really that special, but that was what I really enjoyed. And so Iverson comes over and he's like, what are you thinking? And I was like, well, I like Bullet, so, you know, what do you suggest? He was like, I got just the thing for you. And he brings over this 4 Roses single barrel proof pick. And it was an OBSO.
Yeah.
It was,
High rye.
I think, 9 or 10 years old. And at that point, that was absolutely the best thing I had ever had
Wow.
in my entire life of bourbon drinking. And so I always think of that as kind of a cornerstone for me as a bourbon drinker. And again, I do really owe Iverson that for, you know, showing me the way towards
Yeah.
something that expanded my horizons
He's pretty
and
great.
everything. Yeah, he's not
We
a bad
should get
dude.
him over here for one of these.
That would be awesome. He's been on the show a couple of times.
But
Well,
I would love to be on the show with Iverson.
now that definitely
Because I
is gonna
feel like we
happen.
have a good back and forth, so it would be great.
But he's been on the show a couple times before. But I do think that you need to be on at the
I
same
would
time
love to be on
as him. And
the
I think
show.
we're going to try to get him on the show more as well into the next 50 episodes in the next year as well.
Nice.
I have a suggestion.
I'm open to suggestions, Chad.
Please raise your hand.
Since this is all about revisiting things that have happened on the show,
Mhm.
I think after the podcast we should order jets.
Are you for real?
I think that's a great idea.
Honestly, I was hoping that no one had eaten dinner before I came over
haven't.
here
I
because
haven't
I
had
was
dinner
like,
yet.
please, for the love of God, I really just want some jets.
Okay, here's what we should do. So we're mostly done with the conversation. So I say once we get like to the review, we order so that it's here when we're finishing up.
I think that's a genius idea.
Yeah.
I like it.
Isn't it?
Cool.
Isn't it? Okay, so
Yes.
Jets is on the table.
Yeah.
For sure.
Jets is Jets ever off the table though?
Oh, no,
It's never off
absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
like somewhere towards the edge of the table, but it's never off the table. We love
Name
Jets.
sponsors that you'd want to have.
Jets.
LBC Kitchen, Jets,
Monster Energy,
Monster Energy,
Dad's cheese.
Dad's Cheese.
I love Dad's cheese.
and some kind of
Dad's
coffee.
favorites, man.
Yeah, man.
No.
That is
coffee-
a great
yes.
place.
Oh, no.
Diet Pepsi.
Smoking Aces.
Sure.
I definitely want Smoking Aces as a
I
sponsor.
have no clue where this episode's going.
We have spun off in so many different. I feel like
Sorry, I feel like I'm the tangent machine
You
this
are.
episode.
It's all right. You usually are.
Chad's like, plans are going well. Everyone on track. All right. What about this?
Yeah. Let me just. What am I going to do with this wrench in my hand? Oh, here we go.
That's a nice
If
plan
you
you
can
got
dodge a
there.
wrench.
It'd be a
Well,
shame
Well,
if I
once you
threw
said
this.
Jets, I was derailed. So
Let's get Jets.
I love that.
All right, great.
All right.
Well, okay, I think that at this point we kind of have to wrap it up because Jets is now on everybody's mind. But
yes.
I
I mean, is there anything else that you want to talk about as far as like monumental moments and people? Oh, like what about a bottle? Like you were
Yeah.
saying that pour with Iverson like changed the game for you. But was there like a bottle purchase where you were like, oh my gosh, this is something different?
What was the game changer?
The game changer. I know what mine is.
well, I would definitely say that the Van Winkle 12 year was up there for me because at that point it was kind of like all bets are off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of like I'm willing to spend any amount of money.
Yeah.
You know, to
Shut
try
up
new
and take
things.
my
But
money.
yeah,
Shut up and take my money.
I mean,
I know mine.
the first time I owned a bottle of Blanton's too, you know, or the first time that I was willing to venture out and try something that I thought, it's possible that I might not like this. And that one I think was the old Granddad Bottle and Bond. Because it was a little bit higher in price than what I was normally paying, but I didn't really know anything about it, and I at that point too was very much of the mindset of when I go into the liquor store, if there's something I don't recognize, I'm going to Google it real quick and see what other people think about it.
Why didn't I think of that? I just went in and I'm like, I think it's time this week to get this bottle.
Sure, but like I mean,
But you gotta like the off the cuff kind of.
It worked out for us though.
Because
It
I
worked
feel
out
like
for us.
someone everywhere will like something.
sure,
So
absolutely.
it's kind of like I'm trying to figure out what my palate is. I can't. I'm not trying to be like,
I mean, like,
Perry, you're dumb.
no, but I think that
I'm just
like,
trying to, you're like, I got to find,
It forms your own opinion about it, and I think
yeah,
that
because like I think a lot of people say I'm a Jim Beam fan, which I won't deny, but a lot of people are like down on Jim Beam sometimes. They're like, ugh, Jim Beam, ugh, that's what I had in college.
so
blah,
if you
blah,
had listened to that, you may have
Exactly.
not ever really gotten into it.
But you know what's
I
funny?
like the
is
nuttiness.
I actually kind of do like the white label. I mean, I
Yeah,
aside
It's
from
aight.
the
It's
aside
aight.
from the proof,
yeah.
I mean, there isn't a whole lot about it that I think is fundamentally bad
Mm-hmm.
as a bourbon. I think sure it functions better as maybe a mixer or a cocktail bourbon more so than it does like as a sipper.
Yeah.
And that is very well. It very well could be a product of where I am as a bourbon drinker right now.
Sure.
But I still think that it is the fundamental building block of bourbon.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the stepping stone.
Yeah.
What?
For is it?
Ugh.
Sorry, what?
What were your guys's?
Ah.
Go ahead, Chad. I can tell. Chad's chomping at the bit over here. Go for it.
Was it?
Chad, you're breaking up.
Was it? Okay. Zip. Go later. Mine was my first splurge, which was William Heaven Hill 11-year bottled and bond, which was
Dang.
it was 130. I mean, this
That's
was
quite the splurge.
Yeah, this was probably almost 4 years ago now. Took the connoisseur tour at Heaven Hill, and I can't remember what our first bourbon was. Our second, I feel like, was Larceny. Our third was William Heaven Hill 11-year bottled and bond, and then our fourth was Elijah Craig 23-year.
That's a nice tour.
It was a great
Yeah.
time. It was a
Yeah.
great
They
time.
don't. They don't do it like that anymore.
I'd say
They don't do it like that anymore.
No.
No.
And then they're like, all of these, except the Evan Williams 23 year, is available in the gift shop. I'm like,
Wait, Evan Williams or Elijah Craig?
Elijah Craig.
Because you said two different things there.
Sorry.
Just for the
Elijah
sake of
Craig.
clarity.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there an Evan Williams 23?
Yeah, there is. It was Evan Williams 23.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pull the trigger. $130, most I'd ever spent on a bottle, and I bought that bottle. That was a game changer for me. I'm like, well, I'm in this thing now.
And now you wipe your nose with that.
No.
No.
Just kidding. And then another one I feel like might be Sarah's, so I won't say it, but I want to hear what yours is.
Well, I sort of have two moments. One is bourbon and one is not bourbon. So the first one would be Stag Junior.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was one of the
that
first.
was a big one.
Yeah, it was like one of the first things when I very first started collecting. I remember I went to the liquor store one day, and Chad, may have been with you. You may have been there.
I wasn't there, but I remember hearing the story and being jealous because I
Yeah.
did not own a Stag Junior yet.
So I walked into Liquor Barn, and I got a Weller Antique, a bottle of Stag Junior, and something else. It was something else Buffalo Trace family. I want to say it was that E.H. Taylor single barrel.
Oh, yeah.
I got them all on the same day.
Oof.
Yeah, it was a good day. They were all
Dang.
just sitting there.
Chilling.
That was at that time the
And
most I
now-
had spent on bourbon.
And now you have to fight tooth and nail to get it.
Yeah, you have to
Right.
wait in line.
So that was the most I had ever spent on bourbon up until that point. And this was like in the fall. This was fall release time. So I held on to my Stag Junior. I was like, I'm going to save this because it's a $50-something bottle. And I don't really want to open it until it's a special occasion. But me has a New
Every
Year's
day's a
party.
special occasion.
Has a New Year's party. Yeah. Had a New Year's party and invited a bunch of people over and got I had a good time.
Yep.
And I'd had champagne and a little of this and a little of that. And after midnight, I was like, everybody, let's
It's
open this
time.
bottle of Stag Junior to celebrate the new year. I think it was like 2015. I don't even know what year it was. And I opened it and poured myself a glass with maybe like one ice cube in it. And about 3 sips in, I was passed out face down on the couch.
Everybody see yourself out. It's
But I
fine.
It was
remember
your
being like,
party too, right?
It was my party. I was like, goodbye. Have fun. Have a lovely night. I'm done.
Except it was muffled and you were crying.
Yes, I was
Yes.
just done. I was out. And that's when I would
Face
say,
down in the
like, I
couch.
would tell people, like, Stag Junior, got to watch out. It'll kick you in the face.
Yeah.
But that was my first barrel-proof bourbon. That was my largest purchase. And that was, like, what really opened my eyes to, holy shit, this stuff is for real.
Well, I think, that also made me think of just when I bought my first bottle of Weller Special Reserve. Because I remember putting out like a status on Facebook that was just like, if anybody comes across any Weller products, let me know.
I won't
Because it was at the
I
point
would
where
like
it was
that
starting to get
bourbon.
harder to find, and like
Yeah.
it was on the shelf. Like it wasn't behind glass, or you didn't have to, ask about it or anything. But it was few and far between that a store would actually get a shipment of it. And so, I mean, I felt like that was my first personal find, as opposed to like, winning the bottle in the Pappy Holidays
Yeah.
competition and everything too.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine. I would say Henry McKenna. I have a couple, but
Oh,
Henry
yeah.
McKenna was like It was one that I
Yeah.
kept revisiting and just going like, yes, I will have another bottle.
And I feel like the cool thing about Henry McKenna is like you discovered a secret or
Yeah.
something. Like
Yeah.
the way it used to be was like you found out a secret that no one else really knew about and no one really
Yeah.
talked about. But it's this 10-year-old, bottled and bond
Single barrel.
Single barrel, yeah.
For at the time you could find it for $28
Yeah.
at Kroger Wine and Spirits or
Perfect
something.
price point.
It
and
was
it
like
just was
So good.
Yeah.
It was just
So
like
good.
magic.
yeah,
So exciting.
Big fan.
And now I see it in the stores for $50.
Yep.
Oh, gross. No.
Yeah, I
And
have
it
seen
sits
that.
on the shelf
Wrong.
at $50.
I will say that Pikesville Rye
Hopefully
was
that
the
won't
first
last.
rye that I tried that really opened my eyes to, and I know it's only a 51% rye, but I was like,
So
oh, I like this rye stuff. Like,
So-
I like the spice.
some of the times when you were drinking bourbon and cokes, it was only 51% bourbon.
True. It was a gateway rye. I still am not up to like the 95% rye.
Sure.
Though. I'm 90%.
We've had some that we've
They're
liked.
tough.
We've had some that we've
Yeah.
liked, but if you ask me ever what I prefer, I'm always going to say Pikesville.
I think
Yeah.
Rittenhouse was the first
date.
one that I really.
Yeah.
The baby
That's
brother.
the baby brother. Yeah.
And then Baby's Has. And
I was gonna say the first time we not camped out. We waited in line for a bourbon. Which
was a big milestone.
birthday
Yeah.
bourbon 2015.
And those first
15,
couple of
16.
times, it was so cute because we got what we came for. And I think
Yep.
we got
Oh,
a
that
little
must have been
spoiled.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got a little spoiled because we could camp out and be like third, fourth, fifth in line. We would know ahead of time that we were going to get whatever we came for. And then that has all changed in the past 2 years. I mean, there's no guarantees
Yeah,
anymore.
I was gonna say my next one was the William LaRue Weller.
that
VTech
we got.
collection.
Yeah.
And
That
I
was
was
a
just
big
so
one.
spoiled with that. That was
You're
another.
making me so sad. I want it.
Well,
Yeah.
that
was like that was honest. I mean, Henry McKenna was a turning point, and I was like, yeah. But that was just like, okay, I'm in. I'm definitely in here.
Well,
Yeah.
And
that wasn't even really our doing.
no,
That
we
was
didn't
Swan.
go find it. That wasn't a find.
Yay,
either.
Swan.
Yeah.
Swan's the man.
And we were just spoiled because I think that was our 4th episode or something, maybe.
I was our second.
Second
Oh,
episode,
jeez.
even younger.
So let's go from these bottled and bonds
You brats.
to William LaRue Weller. Jeez.
Jeez. Yeah, I'd
I'm
still
not happy about
striving.
it. I'm just saying.
No, actually, no. I think it was our 4th episode.
It might have been. Either way,
Yeah.
we our palate hadn't been
It wasn't
developed
ready
enough
for it.
to
It wasn't ready
really
for that.
be ready for
No.
it.
Still striving to own a bottle of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite thing I've ever tasted.
Yeah. I think so too. I
I
think that's
agree.
definitely like my favorite bottle I've ever
I still have some.
owned. Oh, I still have plenty.
Yeah.
And I said that before all this
Yeah.
this whiskey Bible stuff too.
Yeah.
What's
I've
one
been
like the
saying
last
it.
3 years?
Well, of
Well,
course.
I've been saying it since
Four
I
grain
very
one
first
last
had
year.
it. Oh, 4 grain is also very tasty.
Curtis doesn't give. Okay, so Curtis just raised his glass in the air, and it wasn't as Sarah does the empty glass motion.
I like.
His was like
There's nothing
it was
in my
kind
glass.
of a like here. Well, okay, let's do a little bit of something in between because we definitely have something for the review that I want to do, but just to kind of as we wrap up the conversation, maybe have a little taste,
A little something.
a little taste of something. And the floor is open to whatever you guys may want.
What's this?
So-
Booker's
That's Kentucky Chew.
Kentucky Chew.
Have you guys had Kentucky Chew yet?
Yeah.
That is
Yes.
my 14-year pick of Knob Creek.
Last week
Single
when
barrel.
it didn't get recorded.
This is for the Hustler.
What's that mean?
I don't know.
I'm gonna try
Take
that.
it up with Brad Williams.
I don't know.
This was the bottle that came out of the barrel at 121 proof in
Nice.
14 years.
Nice.
So
Thank you.
I
Very
can't
little
believe you
water
haven't
in it.
had this yet.
Yeah, I haven't had this.
I got
really
a
like it.
yeah, it's really good. I got a bottle of it at Jim Beam the day that we did the pick.
Mm-hmm. We got ours
And
sitting right over there.
you haven't cracked it yet.
I haven't cracked it
Never
yet.
mind.
Yeah.
I
That's
couldn't help
this?
myself.
No.
No.
I had too many people that I wanted to share it with. I was like, I have to crack it a little bit. So I think to kind of wrap it up, I think that the final question here is, where do you guys kind of see your future as bourbon drinkers? Where do you break glasses at Chad's house? No, I didn't break a glass. I just want to clarify. What do you
Nutty.
Ding. What do you see, in your future, if anything? Have we reached the pinnacle of
No.
bourbon
No.
drinker
Never
dumb?
the pen.
Never.
No. Never. As long as distilleries like Buffalo Trace out there are still saying we haven't made the perfect bourbon yet, and we're still trying to figure out how to do that, then I don't
Ask their
think
customers.
us as drinkers have had the best bourbon.
Yeah.
Because there's also, there's also all this vintage stuff out there that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that we'll just have rare opportunities to have here and there.
Right. So it's like you can also move into the future with the new releases that the major distilleries will do, the new craft places that will pop up, but then you can go back in the past now
Right.
that vintage whiskey's become has basically had a resurgence,
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. That's my favorite is the vintage stuff is like going back and exploring, but I don't know. I say that I want to explore like other types of whiskey. Tried a little bit of Scotch. It's not really striking any chords with me. I tried like 2 types of Japanese whiskey. I felt the same. I felt like it mimicked Scotch a lot, and I'm sure there's someone out there who just was like, but for me,
It's the next big thing.
flavor note wise, it reminded me a lot of Scotch, and that's why I wasn't into it. But I would really like to explore Irish whiskey or just other types of whiskey and just see, because there's so much out there. I mean, I love bourbon, and even just more American bourbons, like from different regions. I mean, we had a bourbon, the Woodinville from Washington State, that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I never would have known that was there if Joseph Brazo hadn't sent it to us.
Joseph.
Thank you, Joseph.
Joseph.
It's not the same Joseph.
I know.
But anyways.
Yeah.
So I think just exploring more. I mean, we get a lot of what's inside Kentucky, but there's that small distillery in Washington State we would have never known about if someone hadn't sent us a bottle. So I think that's the future.
I think that, and I think, the journey we started last week with Stave and Thief Society of
Becoming a bourbon steward. Yeah.
Bourbon stewards, really honing the craft, for our betterment.
Sure.
Right.
I think that's
Yeah.
kind of the future.
Yeah, because I feel like, I would like to drill down a little bit and never to be condescending, but when I say something's floral, I'd like to be like, oh, well, it's kind of floral and got like a rose petal hint or something like that, which it starts to sound a little condescending, but I would like to be able to identify the flavors more, laser focused.
Fred Minnick style.
Right, well, then I can know what I like and I can understand better what other people like and don't like, and I can make better recommendations.
Yeah.
Not to shove it in everyone's faces and be like, snotty about it. I would never do that.
Yeah. Here, let me list 20 different things that this bourbon tastes like.
I still have sort of those cornerstones to kind of discover still. I still have. Yeah, where it's not as much as revisiting, it's still discovering those bourbons that I haven't had, trying all those, and then I think my future will be figuring out, okay, what notes am I getting here, and really just lasering in on that. But I still think I have the cornerstone of like
what's your
the
palate?
door opening and the light coming in, being like, yes, and that's what I'm really excited about that in itself. Just to still have those, and then to be able to go on and go forth.
I think that's cool too, because we get so in the mindset of this is what I like, and I have to preach about it in this way, but to know that there are still other people who want to achieve those milestones and everything. I mean, I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me personally, it's seeing where this community grows, where the amount of people that I can continue to meet over the next year, 2 years, and that's not just as a bourbon drinker; it's also as the host of the show. Honestly, because I mean, I feel like I've met and become good friends with more people in the past year than I might have ever in my entire life. I mean, the fact that, I mean, two years ago really was when I started watching It's Bourbon Night.
Aww.
And we actually had a bourbon night.
Yeah.
And then we actually had a bourbon night with you guys too. But the fact that, I mean, I can sit here now and go, you guys are two of my really good friends.
Aww.
I mean, it's just...
Bourbon brought us together.
It did, and that's what I'm getting at, is just that there is so much more to this community than
just drinking.
Exactly.
I mean,
the
like
memories.
Chad was saying earlier, it's just like Lexington Bourbon Society, but just like the bourbon community in general. It's just so, everyone's so supportive. I feel like everyone's just generous and kind, and everyone wants to do something for a cause, I feel like, and people are creative and they have all these ideas. And I think it's just great. I think everyone's inspiring. I mean, like you said, if it wasn't for bourbon, I don't know we wouldn't be sitting here at this table right now. Like, obviously, we're sitting here on a bourbon podcast talking about bourbon, but we wouldn't even just be hanging out.
I don't think so either.
Which is sad, but also, like, it's cool to think that something like bourbon you know, brought us together.
I agree. I totally agree with you.
yeah.
Mhm.
I
And-
mean, I don't know.
And I
that's-
just want to say
That's something
too,
like no other spirit can do.
I don't think.
I don't think so
in my
either.
opinion. I mean, I'm sure there's others, but
I mean, you don't see. I mean, there aren't really tequila podcasts,
yeah.
and I mean, there are.
There are fewer like rum, tequila. But
Sure, and there are
know.
those that are more broad in the whiskey world that that touch base with different styles and brands of whiskey. But I like to think that bourbon itself is the branch that leads to the community.
I just think
you
it's
know.
such a social drink because
Yeah,
there's so
absolutely.
many different things that you can do with bourbon, and there's so many different rules and laws and ways you can finish it and proofs
Yeah.
you can put it out at. It's such a conversation piece. And that's
Yeah.
really what it is. I mean, like if you have people over for dinner and you pop open an interesting bottle or you have a couple of cool bottles out, like that's your conversation starter for the people who drink.
Yeah.
And there's wine clubs, and I feel like wine is also something that acts that way, but bourbon is really just become more popular. I think it's because of the story that it holds. It makes people
Definitely.
want to get together and share their stories
Yeah.
too. So
and make new stories.
how romantic.
I know.
It is
And
awfully
it's-
romantic,
It is.
isn't it?
And
Yeah.
Freddie has said this a couple times. It's the conduit to
Yeah.
Yeah.
memories and good times and like relationships and
I think
Yeah.
he's actually said it on this podcast
He
before.
has.
AKA social lubricant.
Yeah.
No, but it is. It's great.
Well, to the extent of talking about community too, I just want to step back and get a little bit sentimental, I guess, and say thank you to everybody who has been so supportive of this show over the past year and has wanted to see everything that I've been doing with it succeed every single week. And it is one thing for me to throw out an episode on iTunes every Wednesday for a year. But it's another thing to see people crave more content and start doing things like the live stream or Patreon content and have it be something that people look forward to every week. And so I really have to say thank you to everybody who listens to this show, because you guys are, and this is going to sound stupid corny, but you guys really are the future of this show. I mean, it has helped me and encouraged me to want to every single day put forth my best effort into making this the best it can possibly be. And so from here on out, I will always be thinking about you guys and your excitement for this show and your commitment to listening to this show. And I will always be mindful of you all and will want to produce the best content for you guys. And I just want to say thank you for being supportive of us so far. And there is a lot more to come, and I don't have any intention of ending this show anytime soon. And I mean, as long as the bourbon boom continues, I don't see this going away anytime soon. And I'm just very humbled and thankful by and for everybody who is a part of this community. And that extends to everybody who's sitting at this table right now too, because I mean, y'all have been flexible and willing to want to be a part of this too over the past year. And I of course have to say thank you to you three for wanting to invest your time and your effort into something that was, basically just kind of a side project, a passion project on the side for me, and became so much more than that. So
Here, here.
cheers.
Yeah,
Agreed.
cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers, y'all. That was some weak cheersing.
We got to reach across the table.
So on that note, I say we wrap up our conversation and move on
And
to
we order Jets?
Yes, let's order Jets.
And then move on to our review while
And-
we wait for the Jets.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect.
I like it.
So I think that since we just had a Jim Beam product, it would be reasonable for us to have another for our review as our palates, as our palates are
Palates?
kind of primed for it.
Do we have to talk like that the
Oh,
rest of the
whole time?
podcast?
The whole time.
The whole daggone time. Or we could completely shift gears and go towards maybe the Elijah Craig C918, or we could do the new riff single barrel that Curtis brought to the table, the Ezra Brooks, or the old Ezra barrel proof 7-year that's now on the table. So what do you guys think? I'm going to allow this to be group consensus. What are we
Man.
feeling here? What are we
We've
thinking?
been doing a lot of Bookers. I feel like we've been talking about Bookers a lot lately.
Yeah?
We have.
So Booker's is off the table.
Yeah.
Literally.
Although I would love to drink it.
Yeah.
That could be off air.
Okay.
Okay. Have you had the C918 yet?
I haven't had the C918. I know it's going to be good. I just don't know if it's going to be the best of 18.
Right.
But I know it's going to be good.
I have already developed opinions about whether or not it's the best of 2018.
Okay.
So
I haven't had the new Riff single barrel, and I haven't had the old Ezra 7-year. So
The old Ezra.
I'm in the
Old
same boat as
Ezra.
Chad. So
we're in
I
a-
ain't
we're in a
never
boat.
had the
So-
new riff, so
that's pretty good.
from
I don't know
mine,
why that one specifically tickled me so much, but I don't know.
It was the double negative.
Ain't never.
Yeah.
Is the new riff too much of a step down in proof? I mean, it's 111,
That's a good point. We did just
We
have,
just have
that Knob
120.
Creek, which is 120.
and then the old Ezra is 117.
I mean, it all depends how it drinks. It could
My-
drink like 130 if it's not good.
My vote's between the Ezra or the Elijah Craig. C.
Oh,
Oh wow,
918.
curveball.
yeah, curve.
Well, because of the proof
The proof.
statement
Yeah.
that you just made. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we've been ramping up, and I don't feel like we can go back at this point. Like, I feel that it would be unfair to the new riff to go backwards at this point.
I
gotta,
agree with
I gotta
that.
tell you, I'm really curious about this old Ezra.
So am I.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's
I
do
hope
it.
that's okay with you
All right.
guys.
I'm
So we
doing
are
it.
officially doing the old Ezra barrel proof 7-year.
But what about the Jets?
Oh yeah, we have to order
The
it.
Jets.
Yeah, do we need to take
But
like
why is the Jets gone?
We do need to take a quick break.
Okay, let's do that.
Perry's gonna erase the file, and
We'll be here back next week.
Okay, so old Ezra.
Are you still recording? Did you
Oh, yeah.
really get his credit card number?
Oh yes, I really did.
That's not my fault. He's recording.
it was his plan all along.
Now he can steal your millions.
Of bourbon bottles.
Did you win the Mega Millions?
I did
No.
not.
I'm so proud of you.
Let's be real. If we won the Mega Millions, we would be in Italy right now.
Yeah, not recording a podcast.
Not here. No offense, guys.
No, it's all good. I understand.
If
I would do the same
won,
thing.
I would not
This-
be in.
I would
Bourbon-
totally bail
I
on
would-
you guys too.
Yeah.
This bourbon selection would look very different right now. Who wants to try some 1930s blah 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 blah?
So I went to Justin's House of Bourbon. And
I pretty much bought.
bought
I
the
bought
house.
Justin's House of Bourbon.
I bought the house.
Who wants? Let's record there. It's
Have a
my
house
house now.
party.
Anyways,
So old Ezra.
Old Ezra.
so yeah, old Ezra.
That's how we're coming back into it.
He's
Old
always
Ezra.
got to
Okay.
get into so much character.
I gotta give it the cork pop though.
The old college cork pop.
Decent.
Nice.
Decent. Okay.
Nice.
I say we go new glass on this. Justin.
I'm a new glass.
Justin.
I'm a new glass.
I
Yep.
need a new
Where
glass.
you been, Perry?
I'm a banana.
What's that from?
What?
Some internet
Okay.
thing from a while ago.
I guess I also need to actually pass this around to our friends. So here's the deal with old Ezra. This is a Lux Row product. This is their first barrel strength, if I'm not mistaken. I almost said if I'm not correct.
You're not.
I'm not correct. No, it is 7 years, 117 proof. They used to source their products, and I think this is one of their.
I would imagine they would still have to be.
I think this is one of their first.
Has their distillery been open for 7 years though?
I guess not.
No.
Okay, so I'm wrong.
Oops.
Anyway, I don't know anything about this bourbon. Apparently,
Just a little bit of.
Just a little perfume.
we have
here.
applied. Never mind.
He likes it.
This was $40.
$40.
Doll hairs.
Nice.
And I'm pretty excited about it because I haven't had an Ezra product that I've actually liked before.
Correct.
But I am going to let it sit open for just a bit.
What was the proof again? 117?
117. Yes, sir. And 7 years old.
Doesn't look 117.
It does look a little bit lighter. I will say that much. But we're all,
Man.
if anybody walked into the room at
Yeah.
this exact second,
It
Glasses
looks,
What kind
tilted.
of drugs are you guys on?
it looks 90 proof.
I don't
Speaking
know.
of that, I have a really funny video for you guys to watch. Oh, I'm gonna save this for tips and bits.
okay, great.
Okay.
Oh, daggone it,
Perfect.
tips and bits.
Think of it now. Do it.
Okay.
Do it now.
Have to start
Anyways, it
thinking.
has a great. I think it has a nice nose.
Yeah. I think it's a little muted though.
It's very middle of the road nose.
There's
That's how I feel about it.
there's some really interesting like berry notes though that I'm finding, kind of like raspberry.
I'd buy that.
They're present, but they're not overpowering, I would say. Sarah's laughing about this video already.
I
and she
can't
hasn't-
wait to show you guys what it is.
Wow.
We're gonna watch it while we eat pizza, but only after I tell you what it
absolutely.
is on tips and bits. so.
Absolutely, yeah. But it doesn't seem to have like the standard. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I got too close.
It's all good.
I was trying to nose better, and then
Oh, yeah, actually.
It does that.
But it doesn't seem to really have like the standard bourbon notes.
no, it has kind of like an
On it.
airy smell, but not.
Oh,
I wouldn't
crap.
call it musty, but
This is the first review I've done without my laptop out since I switched over to the Zoom. So I have to do all of the.
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
all of the what?
I have to do all of
Recording.
the calculating
never,
on.
Never pull fleshy piercings.
Oh,
Nice.
I thought it was always pull.
You were the starter of
Wait a
that,
second.
weren't you?
Yes.
Do we need some
Ah.
paper, or
No, it's okay. I can do everything in my phone if
should
that's
we
all right.
all
with you
just
guys.
take notes on our phone?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Anyway,
Technology.
yeah.
It's amazing.
I kind of forgot about our review system because I don't know when the last time we actually reviewed a bourbon on
It's
the
been a
show
while.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been doing,
Did we on the last one?
no, because we were doing the Dusties. With
No,
Dad.
this last one.
No, we didn't get there.
We didn't get there.
Remember
You
because-
realized. Okay. That's right.
That's right.
Also, we're still recording.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think the
doesn't
nose is
have-
just kind of, it's just kind of all right.
Yeah.
but it's not bad.
No, it's not bad
No,
at all.
not
I
at
think
all.
it's just kind of chill. It's just
Yeah,
kind of a chill
it's
nose.
very subtle,
Very laid
chill.
back.
But it does
Like,
make me
Hey,
want.
I'm here, but not really.
Makes me want to drink it.
Yeah.
I agree, but it makes me want there to be more present on the nose. That's what
I
I was
agree.
getting at more than anything is that I feel like there's it just seems like there's something
Right.
missing.
There's nothing wrong with it, but there's not something that's like outstandingly right either.
Right, and I feel like that's just
Not much memorable.
That's what I say about Chad. I'm just kidding.
Aw.
Aw.
No.
and they were never together again. Oh.
Who does that? I can't remember what movie that is.
Austin Powers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
he's talking to
exactly what
Mini-Me.
it is. Mini
He goes,
Me.
"You complete
I was doing the I love you.
I don't know why I did Donald Trump
point
voice
your
thing.
eye. I trust you. I love you. Anyways, that,
First
that
sip.
went on for too long.
First sip.
First sip, same as the last. I don't know.
Same as the first.
Same as
second
the
sip,
first.
same as
Se-
the first.
second sip,
except
same
a
as
whole
the
lot
first.
louder and a whole lot worse.
I think right at the front, I'm sort of like, all right, I'm getting on board, and then it just kind of fades.
Yeah, I
A
feel the
lot.
same. It starts out promising, and then it jumps right into a cherry cough syrup kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I would say cherry cola, like
I
a
don't
like
know,
a
some
sour,
kind of thing I don't really enjoy.
like a
It's like boom.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It goes over the falls real quick.
In a barrel.
I really, at the very first initial,
The finish is really
Palate of it.
caramely though.
Like
But, like-
caramel popcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is good, but at the same time, there's kind of a bitter note to it.
Yeah,
That's
there is.
really
That's a little-
unsettling.
Yep.
Oh, this sucks. I was kind of hoping that we would have something good for our anniversary episode, but
Sorry, we picked it
nah, it's all good. It's all good. I'll forgive you eventually.
eventually.
And I've forgiven you. Anyway,
Oh, sweet.
man,
The finish does stick around. I'll give it that.
Yeah,
it
I'll
does,
give it
but
that.
I don't think that it's a pleasant finish.
I wouldn't call it
necessarily.
unpleasant, but I wouldn't call it again memorable. That seems to be the byline. of this review is
It's forgettable.
it's kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
Like I still know that I've been drinking bourbon. It's still in my mouth.
Yeah.
But
it's still
it's
somewhat
like-
enjoyable.
Like, I don't absolutely hate it. Like, it's
No,
not.
yeah,
it's something
it's
that
not
I can
anything
continue to
I'm-
sip. Like, I've had things where I'm just like, I can't finish this.
Yeah.
And this is not that. So,
Yeah. It's just that it's a little left to center
Right?
for some reason.
Yeah.
and it's hard to think about when the other things that come out of that. It's hard to think about when you think about other things that come out of the distillery, like the Rebel Yell 10-year, and you're just
Yeah.
like, what's going on in here right now? Because that Rebel Yell is pretty damn good.
It's very good.
Yeah.
This is not. It does not strike me as a 117 proof.
No, not at all.
And that's exactly what I was thinking when I was thinking about the finish. Like I couldn't tell you how old this bourbon was, what the price was, what
No.
the proof was. Like nothing is sticking out. Again, just not
It seems
not
like,
memorable, but not like overtly objectionable either. At least
No,
for
Yeah.
me.
it just kind of seems like they almost. Does it strike you like they filtered it too much?
I don't know. It comes off as a little unnatural, almost. Like,
That's okay. That's what I'm getting at. I think is that it just doesn't seem like it was like it actually spent 7 years in the barrel. Because you taste something like Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, which is 17 proof points lower,
Yeah.
a whole year younger,
Yeah.
and it actually has those barrel
those
notes
flavors.
to
Mhm.
it.
And I
Has
feel
more
like this is
personality.
missing
Yeah.
that.
Zoe's playing with the
Gotta,
squeakiest
substitute
toy.
the squeak toy for
Yeah.
something else.
Nah, it's
you
all
can
good.
get a hold of that.
It's all good. I got to be honest with you. I am
You're gonna lose a finger.
I am severely underwhelmed
Me too.
by
What
this one.
was the cost of this one?
$40.
Mm.
Yeah, see, that's
As everyone looks at their phone and says, "All right."
Interesting.
let me do some calculations. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and so here's how we've done reviews differently, and in terms of like some of us have gone like we've each given each category.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this one we go number by number or category by
we
category
all do our
around the
nose,
table.
then we all do our
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say about it is I feel like it's leaning heavily on its proof as a crutch. Like if this was
And the age.
yeah, if this was 90 or 100 proof, I feel like it would be a lot worse. I think all we're tasting is the proof,
proof.
and that's like the saving grace. I think the real flavors, and I'm getting ready to add some water to mine.
Oh, I should have done that.
Well, all right.
Yeah,
not
I'm
shoot.
gonna.
I need to add a little bit more
Oh,
bourbon.
I added too
actually,
much.
but- Kurt, you need yeah.
Yeah. Nope.
It takes the bitterness away,
Oh man,
but it really doesn't hold up. No.
it kills what flavor it had.
Whatever flavor was in there.
I probably added
It's
too
gone.
much, but
Me too.
it's really just not there.
I've added about 5-ish drops of water.
Is that what that exact scientific measurement you just did was?
5-ish.
Yes, 5-ish with a finger.
Yes, I saw that.
I mean,
It destroys the nose.
I mean, it
It
destroys.
completely destroys the nose.
Yeah, the nose is pretty much non-existent
with a good
now.
splash of water, it just tastes like a very stock bourbon. Just stock in every
but now,
sense of the word.
But now I'm getting caramel. Now I'm getting the slightest touch of vanilla, but it also, like you've talked before on the show too about how your idea of stock is kind of banana bread. And that's what I'm tasting now too, is like a banana bread on this bourbon with a little bit of water. But overall,
I get that a little on the finish now.
yeah, I don't think that there's anything exciting about
No.
about this. And
I
it's,
like the finish that it stays there, but
Yeah.
but the palate itself, I just don't.
see
It's
length.
like. Oh,
Go ahead.
I feel like the finish is
Same
split
person.
between this, like, what could be really nice caramel, but it's also got this bitterness. And so it's like, I can't not taste the bitterness, you know?
And maybe I'm comparing it with like I'm going, okay, the palate, compared to the palate to the finish, I like the finish better, and that's where I'm like, a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the
Swayed on
finish
that.
better than the palate.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Oh, I do too, for sure. So I'd say let's go ahead and give our reviews. But I just realized I haven't actually told our listeners what our review system is. So we have a 4-tier review system of nose, palate, finish, and price. Each category is out of 5, then we total everything up for a score out of 20. And then you're supposed to know whether or not you should buy it. And in this case, I feel like it might be a resounding meh. So anybody who wants to go first, feel free to. Foliage girl.
I'll go ahead.
For the nose.
The nose was my favorite part, which
Same
isn't
here.
saying a lot.
Nope.
It was very mellow and mild, but I
Yep.
feel like it was very average.
Yeah.
And so because we're scoring out of 5, and an average would be a C, would be a 2.5 is what I gave the nose. Like, I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's fine. It's just right there in the middle.
We're all.
Oh, we
gonna
go
do-
We're going, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Cool.
I mean, hit it on the nose. That's exactly what
Yeah.
I put down. I was like, 2.5. You know it's there, and it has some of those like berry notes you mentioned, or Perry mentioned.
No, go ahead. Give me credit. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
credit.
yes. Sarah mentioned that.
Perry
Thank
Berry.
you.
But it's just nothing resounding, and it doesn't give a overwhelming like, hey, you're drinking bourbon.
Yeah, I gave it a 2.5. Just very middle of the road, stock, just kind of there.
Spoilers. We all 4 gave it a 2.5.
There we go.
Look at that.
It's not for me necessarily though that it was there. It was that it presented things that were interesting to me, but it didn't seem to be able to round itself out with what makes bourbon. And
Yeah.
so like I don't have a problem with noses that have caramel and vanilla and oak as predominant notes. But I am concerned with a bourbon that doesn't present those. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
Like-
At
what
least a
did
few
you
of
do
them.
wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Like
It's almost like just a standard, you know?
exactly.
Like-
And this had none of that.
It's like a foundation. Like, hey,
Right.
I just want to have
Exactly.
hint.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And like if it had that, I feel like I could have at least bumped it up to a 4. You know, not it. I think that coupled with like those berry notes that I was talking about, and a little bit of the earthiness to it as well, it would have bumped it up. But it's so oddly plain.
Yeah.
But
Middle of the road, I think. That's,
Middle of the
yeah,
road.
great
It's funny,
descriptor.
the label says charcoal mellowed. I think
and that's what I'm saying too. Is I think it's been a little bit.
Too filtered.
It's been over-filtered.
I
It's
hear
been
what you're saying.
over-mellowed.
It doesn't have any of those good mouthfeel, like fatty types
It's
of,
nothing.
you know,
Yeah.
that like buttery, not at all.
No,
So
no.
palate, why that leads me into the palate.
Yeah.
Which I gave a 1.
Whoa!
Sorry.
Wow.
Dang.
I cringed. You saw me.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
because
did see.
asterisk.
Normally
it's
I'm the
because
lowest.
of it had a cherry to me, like an artificial cherry, which I said cough syrup. It always reminds me of cough syrup, which is like one step. It's basically licorice in my mind, which I hate. So that's why, personally, I gave it a 1 because I do not like those flavors at all, and that's what stood out for me. So, what about you?
I gave it a 2.
That's better.
Just a little lower than the nose. I mean, there was nothing outstanding about the nose, so the palate just got a tad worse.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that literally first note of it being kind of airy, having more of a bright note, a crisp note, but then after that, it just a roller coaster downhill was like, I can't get on board.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to skip over Chad for a second and kind of piggyback off of that.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but it just.
He just straight up Uno skipped you.
Yeah, you did. You knowed me.
I took that as such a negative aspect of it, though, is that like it roller coastered so quickly into nothing.
It was so
That-
quick.
It
like-
was a disappointment.
It was so overtly boring to me, but still maintained a little bit of something that was like, oh, that's not what I'm used to, and that was the flat cherry cola flavor on it. but it wasn't enough to push it past a 1.5 for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
1.5.
I mean, it was nothing. It was nothing interesting.
Sorry, I missed yours, Chris.
gave it a
What did
two.
you-
Mine was a 2.
2, okay,
Yeah.
that's right. Wow, I'm the highest. I gave it a 2.25.
Okay.
You love the 2.5s.
Well,
I think it's okay.
I think it's okay.
I think
just a little bit better than a 2, but not as good as, a 50% grade.
Yeah.
This bourbon for me all around is just a middle of the road average. If I'm going to give something below a 2.25, it's because I thought there was a bad taste. And it wasn't so much for me that I thought there was a bad taste. It was just boring and bland and stock and just there.
Well, I really did think that the flat cola flavor of it was bad.
Was bad.
Was
For me, it was
bland.
just, it wasn't so much bad, but I wasn't liking it. I was nothing it.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I can't give it lower than a
I nothing
2.25.
Yeah.
I'm nothing you. Exactly. That's what I.
Somewhere we're making someone very sad who worked very hard on this.
Yeah.
and it's okay.
I always feel a little
love-
bit bad about that, but I got to be honest.
I mean, I
so.
love the people at Lux Row. I think that they
Yeah.
do a very good job at working towards something good.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're not being honest about what we're reviewing,
Why are we doing it?
what is the
Well,
point
and I
in
think we can
reviewing
all agree that
anything?
Rebel Yell tenure is amazing.
Amazing.
So
Oh,
keep
yeah.
Oh,
doing
absolutely.
that.
And
More
also,
of that, please.
we should also just say again that we haven't had an Ezra or Ezra Brooks or Old Ezra or whatever that we've liked so far.
No.
Ever.
So it
No.
might just be that
I've never had one.
flavor
before.
profile.
Oh.
I think the
so this
pizza's
was
here.
the first one I've had.
I think it is as well. But finish wise though, it's okay. I gave the finish a 2.
I also gave it a 2
Yeah.
for the same reasons. I think we're on the same page about
I
the
think we
finish.
are as well. Yeah.
That was more of a bright note for me, so I gave it a
Oh,
3.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I really thought that the nose was the best part out of
Really? See, I thought the finish was, but
Yeah.
yeah.
and I think it was just that it lingered a little bit, and I kind of enjoy the extra
Yeah.
lingering, and then also I slightly had of some of that kind of rick house and barrel
Yeah.
notes that I
So
that I
what-
was kind of.
What was your
going
score
for.
on it then?
A 3.
A 3.
Chad?
I
Finish?
gave it 2.
Okay.
I thought the finish, where it was long, was still, like I said before, just, hey, I drank bourbon, but that's it.
Yeah.
So a 2.
Price?
I gave it a 2 on price as well.
I gave it a 1.5
Wow.
because I feel like when you can get, this is 40, you can get rare breed for 45.
Some places 40.
I mean, that destroys this.
Yes.
Absolutely. So
Again,
when I
let's-
consider
For
all of the
sure.
better things that I can get for between $27 and $40, or $45,
that's fair.
I'm
you
like-
mentioned that, and now I'm like, I gave it I was a 2,
Questioning.
and now I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh.
I'm like, nope, can't give it. I think I would be disappointed if I spent $40.
Yeah. Well, again,
Yeah.
let's take it back to the theme of the night, I feel like, which has been the Heaven Hill Pot and Bun. Not that it's going to be available anymore, but like that for even paying what it's risen up to, $20.
I'd rather have that.
Oh, absolutely.
I think I would, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I
So,
gave it a 1.75.
but that rounds out his score
it
at a
does.
nice even number.
It does.
You gave it a
I gave it a 2, but now I'm like,
no take backs.
I know.
And Perry.
I gave it a 2 as well.
Okay.
So my total score was
But the
an 8 out of-
1.75 makes sense.
Yeah.
It really
But I
does.
really
Everything's
feel-
just been
Yeah,
middle
okay,
of the
you
road
can
or a
change.
little bit lower.
I don't. Yeah, I know. I feel strongly about not changing your score based on what other people are like. Go off your initial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I gave it a total of 8 out of 20.
I gave it a total of 7 out of 20.
Hold on while I math.
Kurt,
Also math.
Chad's doing weird, like Doctor Strange hand motions.
They can't see that, Chad.
I can, and I'm enjoying the
It's
crap
really
out of
weird.
it.
I don't like it.
It's a little unsettling, but
I
did-
don't find it
I did
attractive.
math 17,000
I give that
times.
a 0.25
Oh, okay.
on the attractive scale
So just middle of the road?
wait,
Yeah.
out of what?
out of
100.
100.
So I gave it a 4.5, a 7.
I also gave it a 7.
Okay.
There you go.
I believe mine was a 9.
Okay.
Oh. So
So
not
I think
faring
this is-
so good
No,
for
I-
the old Ezra. 7-year.
I think that this is worth trying.
Sorry, I did my math wrong. I gave it an 8.5.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, 8.5.
So I'm the lowest
You
here.
are the lowest.
I don't
That's
normally
new.
do that.
I did
We
mine.
normally agree wholeheartedly on our reviews.
Well, we're pretty close though.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, we're all pretty
Pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree that this is not going to be the first thing that we pull off the shelf.
No, but I think it's
I
still
don't know if I'd
worth
buy it.
trying just for the sake of saying you've had it. And I'm not saying necessarily go out to a bar and buy a pour of it, but I don't know.
If a friend has it.
Let me know. I'll send you a sample or something.
So
So that about does it for our
That's the
review.
verdict on it.
Let's move on to tips and bits, our
and
recommendation
bits.
segment
Tips
of the
and
show.
bits.
all right.
So what are your tips and bits for this
Okay,
week,
well,
guys?
since it's Halloween, my tips and bits is going to be something I just discovered last week. My friend Stephanie showed this to me, and I laughed my ass off. So I'm going to show it to you guys when we're done here. But search Brandy TV, Brandi
Okay.
TV, on YouTube. And so what this girl does is I guess she lives in Colorado or somewhere. So she does makeup tutorials, but she eats THC infused treats
Oh
first.
my gosh.
Yeah, so there's this one where she's like, I'm gonna do the Grinch. I'm gonna do my makeup today like the Grinch, but first I'm gonna eat this THC chocolate. And she's like, I don't really know how much I'm supposed to eat, so I'm gonna eat 3 squares.
Oh my god.
And then like later, she's like, okay, so I asked my friend and she didn't know. So I looked it up online and they said if you eat more than 2 squares, it's like mental suicide.
Oh
And
my god.
so she's like, all right, so I'm going to wait a little bit and then I'm going to come back and do my makeup. And it's like an hour later. And it's the funniest thing. She does all kinds of like DIY costumes and stuff. But for everyone, she's like, I'm going to eat 6 of these gummy bears or whatever it is she does. And she does it all the time. It's so funny. Like,
Oh, I've gotta
once
watch
you
that.
watch
I
the
need
first
to see
couple,
this.
like she has like almost 500,000 subscribers. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
She has like 200 videos, but it's just, once you watch the first couple, you're like, all right, I get it. But I think that she's hilarious, and we definitely have to watch it while we eat this pizza.
Oh,
Nice.
that's
So-
going to happen.
Okay,
That's gonna
that's
happen.
my tips.
My tips and bits is Halloween. So
The movie?
The movie.
Oh, okay.
The
All
new one or the old
new
one?
one.
I want to see
The
that.
new
Is it
one.
that good?
It's pretty good.
Is it
I just
better
love-
than Strangers Pray at Night?
Well, Perry,
Just
I
kidding.
can't
I'm just
like
kidding.
compare that because you're related to someone in that movie.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
But it's really, really good. I mean, obviously, it's not going to beat the original.
Right, it
Sure.
The
can't.
original, yeah, it's just not possible.
Sequels never really do,
Yeah,
unless you're Empire Strikes Back.
but I will say it's a nice.
She's a keeper.
Thanks.
I know.
I know. It is a nice like rendition of it. It's I really enjoyed it. Jamie Lee Curtis did a good job, and
Good.
so I would say go see Halloween. It's Halloween
Nice.
Cool.
and the Monster Mash.
You never did
the
werewolf.
Bourbon Mash.
You never did werewolf bar mitzvah.
I didn't.
Don't do it. Just save it.
My tip is Werewolf Bar Mitzvah from season 1, I believe.
1 or 2. I don't know.
1 or 2 of 30 Rock. Just that episode.
Just Google it.
And my bit.
That episode is so good.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my gosh.
My bit is Treehouse of Horrors. The Simpsons.
yeah.
Yes. Never forget.
Even in the later years when the episodes went downhill, I feel like they gave it more effort or
They
just
did,
had better
yeah.
luck on
Sure.
Treehouse of
I just
Horrors.
think you just can't go wrong with Treehouse of Horrors and like Halloween
I
and
don't
stuff. They
know
can
either.
incorporate so many movies. And
If you can
references.
just
Yeah.
probably the every Simpsons ever app or the FX app or whatever it is. What do you watch?
Simpsons
on?
World.
Simpsons World
On FX.
on FX. You can probably just watch every Treehouse of Horrors, which I don't think it started until the
Ooh,
second
that
season.
sounds like fun.
Which,
I think I'm actually
they
going to do
might-
that.
so-
I like that idea.
on
That's in
FX,
the cards for
they
me.
break up and put them in categories, so that might be a
Yes.
category.
Well, I know they're doing a marathon on the cable FX channel right now.
But who has cable? I'm just kidding.
Well, I do.
A lot of
Truthfully,
people.
though.
So yeah,
Hopefully.
Treehouse of Horrors, The Simpsons. Just watch them all in order. Brilliant.
Carrie?
Love them.
So
That's what I'm doing as well.
There you go.
So Lucy recently, and for anybody who follows the This Is My Bourbon podcast drinking game, you have to drink every time I mention Lucy, apparently. So she started watching a show on Netflix called Dark Tourist.
Oh, never heard of it.
I not recently, but in the past mentioned a show called Unplanned America, where it was 3 or 4 Australian guys who basically had no plan for their trip to the United States, and just went around and met a whole bunch of people and learned about their culture and everything. And Dark Tourist is kind of in that same vein. He's a guy from New Zealand, but
The pizza smells so good.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry.
just trying to keep the dog distracted.
I'm trying to speed up too.
No, you're fine.
Anyway, he goes through and does things that you wouldn't really expect, like normal tourists to do, like go see, like go on a tour of JFK's last moments, or go to different countries where it's okay to kill people. And I mean,
Oh.
no, but it's really interesting.
Stark.
And like he's not unsettled by it, and you're led by a guy who is very aware of the situation that he's in, and it's super cool. And I mean, we ran through the entire series in like 2 days.
Wow.
And they're like hour-long episodes, hour-and-a-half-long episodes.
Sounds like the guy watched Dexter and heard Dark Passenger and was like, Dark Tourist?
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me a little bit too of like Parts Unknown. So it kind of has that like Anthony Bourdain vibe.
It sounds like the darker version of An Idiot Abroad to me.
Oh no, it definitely.
I
it's
love
definitely
An
like
Idiot
that.
Abroad.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
is it An Idiot Abroad or just
It's An.
Idiot? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's An
Ricky
Idiot
Gervais
Abroad.
is great
Yeah.
in that. I
Anyway.
love just watching that guy be uncomfortable. It's so funny.
Okay, well that's tips and bits for this week.
Cool.
First off, thank you all so much for listening. Again, I really do appreciate everything that you have allowed me to do over the past year, and I will continue to do those things into the future because this is my favorite part of my week, and I know that we have a whole bunch of new things that we want to get to moving forward. But I got to let people know where they can find you all on social media, but I guess I'm going to let you guys let them know.
Sure. At It's Bourbonite on the social medias. YouTube.com/It's Bourbonite. And Patreon.com/It's Bourbonite. Amazon.com/shop/It's Bourbonite. Boom.
At Instagram, I am Kurt Con, and on Twitter, Kurt_Con15.
Chad took all my things, so on Instagram, I personally am at Will Work for Bourbon.
And she will.
Oh, and I.
And Chad's at Now Hear This.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't care.
He doesn't really. It's mostly for the channel and not
Yeah.
really personal.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
If you want to follow up with the show, we are at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Personally, I am at PRitter1492. If you'd like to send us an email with questions or comments or suggestions for future episodes, you can use this mybourbonshop@gmail.com. You can check out all of our merch and accessories at bourbonshop.threadless.com. We're going to have actually a 1-year anniversary sale going on soon where you can get 25% off of all of our products.
I feel like we should have like a
Yeah.
like sound effect.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, wait,
if
there's
you
more.
order now,
Act now.
Only
we-
pay shipping and handling.
We actually have new stuff up on there too, like stickers, which is something that Threadless just introduced like 2 months ago, which is stupid because
That's cool.
Yeah, no, it's
but
great.
dumb
but-
because why not earlier?
Why haven't they done it sooner?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, you can go check out all of that stuff. And then last but not least, actually not last but not least, I just realized I have 2 more things. Please give us a 5-star rate and review on iTunes. That really helps us out reaching new listeners. What am I on? YouTube? I am also doing Tuesday night live streams over on YouTube. Just search This Is My Bourbon Podcast every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern. Those have been a lot of fun so far. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers so that we can do a little giveaway. Check out the last live stream for more details on that. And then if you would like to become a patron of the show, you can head to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast for as little as $1 a month. That is one of the things that helps us out the most and that allows us to keep doing this every single week. Chad, Sarah, Curtis, Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Perry.
Y'all.
Why isn't the red light on anymore?
Oh, no.
Oh no!
Chad, that's not funny.
I
Kind
did
of
have a tiny panic attack
Like-
when he said that.
No.
I will see you all next week. I'm not entirely sure what's going to be coming. I think that it might be an interview with Trey Zoller.
Ooh. Love Trey.
Should things go according to schedule. But should things change, check out social media for that. But until then, I want to say thank you all for listening. I will see you next week. I'm Perry, and this is my Bourbon Podcast.